we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Attention college and university students, introducing 2 brand new revolutionary books published in chemistry and physiology that'll make both easier to understand. The first book, entitled New and Effective Method for Solving General Chemistry Problems, details an amazing method that simplifies chemistry problems down to fractions of multiplication and division. Students, you no longer need to memorize and use any chemical formula. The second book, entitled The Only True Outline of Physiology, reduces an entire 300-page physiology textbook down to 105 pages by eliminating excessive wordage that can be time-consuming and confusing. The Only True Outline of Physiology underlines the information most likely to be asked on exams and helps you better understand the principles of physiology. For more details on either book, visit Zarantos-Publishing.com. Both are available on Amazon or at Zarantos-Publishing.com in a digital format and in print form upon request. Say goodbye to confusing chemistry and physiology content. Get these books today. That's Zarantos-Publishing.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at pragercruise.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, what's with all this hullabaloo over some comments that a top aide of one Mayor BLM Brandon has made? Kennedy Bartley is her name. She's the Chicago Managing Deputy for External Relations. Isn't that the job Michelle Obama had? Sounds like it. Anyway, Kennedy Bartley comes from the activist community, from the organizing community. She's a community organizer.
Yeah.
United Working Families, which is another Marxist organization, much like city government. So you can see how the transition was seamless. But anyway, she has said some things that have surfaced, and people are surprised, upset.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line, you could text us on that very same line.
Kennedy Bartley on cops.
First of all, like if I die, especially at the hands of the pigs, like don't name after me. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to let piece of legislation named after me, a road, none of that. But like I would be honored if that like got more folks to abolition. And I don't think that that's like, I don't think that like folks need to like bear that. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying, Dan?
I like sort of like know what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like
what? She thinks so highly of herself. They're going to name a piece of legislation after. No one even knows who she is. I mean, we do now a little bit, but
gets people. You're surprised of this hand wringing that's going on. You're surprised that there's a police abolitionist in the senior ranks of the BLM Brandon administration. You're surprised that there's an anti-capitalist in the senior ranks of the BLM Brandon administration. I'd be surprised if there wasn't one.
I'm the executive director of an organization. And so to the extent that I have like power and influence in that space, you know, I really do try to just affirm like what people's bodies are telling them, live into like the values that we're about, you know, like so many of us are like anti-capitalists and, you know, like recognize rest as like both a form of resistance and just like what humans need because we're not machines. And at the same time, there's kind of like this, I guess, built-in premise that like we'll go so hard, and then like whenever liberation comes, we'll like snap into this world of like rest and you know. And it's like I just don't think that like I feel like the journey matters, like how you get there likely matters, and so where I can you know build it in and take the time, I try to. And I you know I think I learn a lot from like comrades in the disability justice space, around these like practices and yeah.
Comrades, boy, she is really sticking to the lingo of her people, and then by her people I mean
like what, like
Bolsheviks,
yeah,
no, not like Bolsheviks, new Bolsheviks, and so that's all getting some alder humans to issue statements of condemnation. Kennedy Bartley doesn't represent Chicago values, whatever those are, and she has to go. And so forth. A lot of performative outrage here, including from Deborah Silverstein.
Yeah.
She's another alder human. Her husband, Ira, was a state senator. And
she's upset that Kennedy Bartley is now the head of the Intergovernmental Affairs team.
Well, she's upset because Kennedy Bartley, whatever her position is, doesn't matter. She's upset because she's piling on. So now you have some alder humans calling for her resignation over the comments on cops. And I didn't hear anybody actually concerned at all about her statements on capitalism and use of the term comrades. But, of course, that doesn't surprise me. 2 days after the October 7th terrorist attack in Gaza, the Israeli people, 1,200 Israelis murdered in cold blood by Hamas terrorists. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Amen. Exclamation point. That was the post from one Kennedy Bartley. And one Deborah Silverstein says it was like congratulating Hamas for slaughtering Jews. Well, Deb and the rest of...
Welcome to the city of Chicago.
No. Well, Deb and the rest of the Democrats with their performative outrage, welcome to your party. This is your party. So you'll have to pardon me if I don't rally to join in your moral indignation over the people that you platform, over the people that lead your party, over the philosophy that's dominant in your party. Right? Is that in dispute? I'm sure that some of those alder humans that are expressing disgust would say it's in dispute, but yeah. the reckoning. No, it's a little bit of the cannibalism and a lot of performance. They want to tamp down people like Kennedy Bartley or Ilhan Omar being the face people for the party. They may not always be the face people, although it's tough to keep them away from cameras. But they're representative of what the party is, locally and nationally.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hello.
Coming up at 5:38, Trump says there will be no third debate. We'll get your reactions, 5:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
5:29 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, everyone. Machinists at Boeing just moments ago voting to go on strike, rejecting a contract proposed by the company to raise pay by over 25% over 4 years. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, District 751 President John Holden, announcing results of that vote.
They voted to strike by 96%.
The IAM demanding a 40% pay hike over 3 years to make up for what they say are 16 years of stagnant wages. Boeing responded saying they're ready to negotiate any new agreement. Former President Donald Trump says polls are declaring him the winner of Tuesday's debate against Vice President Harris. Trump says he will not debate Harris again. Harris in North Carolina scrambling to that news, saying she now believes candidates owe it to the voters to have another debate.
Because this election and what is at stake could not be more important.
Trump says Harris should focus on her job as VP instead of wanting another debate. Southern California experiencing the most earthquakes in decades to have a magnitude of at least 4.0. Thursday's earthquake in Malibu was the 14th of the year of that magnitude. That's the most in the region since 1988. Centers for Disease Control says a bird flu patient in Missouri has completely recovered. CDC believes the patient was hospitalized due to underlying conditions and not ever because of the bird flu. A North Dakota judge overturning the state's abortion ban. Judge Bruce Romanek ruling North Dakota's state constitution protects a woman's right to an abortion before the fetus is viable. The order goes into effect in 2 weeks. It's a hearing breakthrough, the FDA authorizing the first over-the-counter hearing aid software device. Hearing aid feature is made to be used with the Apple AirPods Pro headphones. It will allow compatible versions of that device to serve as an over-the-counter hearing aid for those 18 or over with mild to moderate hearing impairment. Miami's Dolphins concerned this morning over the condition of Tua Tagovailoa. The lefty QB threw an interception for a Bills touchdown and left the game with a severe concussion.
In my position, you never want to have your opportunity come with something like that, and have a lot of love for Tua, built a great relationship with him, and you care about the person more than the player.
Dolphins quarterback Skylar Thompson filled in as the Bills beat the Dolphins 31-10 last night. Controversy continues to dog a top aide to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Kennedy Bartley is facing calls to resign due to a backlash he received over grossly anti-police comments made on 2 podcasts. Alderman Brendan Riley says Bartley is also at the center of communication failures by the Johnson administration.
Communication is so important, and really where we've seen a deficit with this administration is regular dialogue. And so I would say there's a need to really ramp that up and improve that operation.
Chicago Alderman Deborah Silverstein also claims that Bartley heckled her earlier this year during a city council debate on a Gaza ceasefire resolution. City of Chicago prepping for this weekend's Mexican Independence Day celebrations, hoping to provide space for plenty of revelry while avoiding the long hours of gridlock downtown. Chicago police issuing a friendly warning.
Mexican Independence Day is a celebration of our culture, so please be respectful and celebrate responsibly.
Organizers of El Grito in Grant Park are hoping the festival will give people a place to get out of their vehicles and enjoy a more traditional celebration.
Having a organized and fun and festive place for people to go downtown is going to take a lot of those cars off the street.
OAMC and Chicago police are hoping the event will ease congestion, but they do have a plan to restrict access to downtown. At 5:34, Chicago sports are finding the Bears prepping for the first time since COVID for a 2-0 start when they battle the Texans in Houston on Sunday Night Football. Cubs visit the basement-dwelling Rockies at Coors Field tonight. White Sox start a series against the A's. College football, the Fighting Illini wrap up non-conference play tomorrow with the Chips of Central Michigan. The news, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan on Saturday, September 21st. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise. Sponsored in part by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
There is no foundation like the rock of honesty and fairness. And when you begin to build your life on that rock, with the cement of the faith in God that you have, then you have a real start. Those who would trade our freedom for the soup kitchen of the welfare state have told us they have a utopian solution, a peace without victory. They call their policy accommodation. And they say if we'll only avoid any direct confrontation with the enemy, he'll forget his evil ways and learn to love us. All who oppose them are indicted as warmongers. They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple. If you and I have the courage to tell our elected officials that we want our national policy based on what we know in our hearts is morally right.
This moment in American history has been brought to you by Earthworks. Learn more at earthworksinc.com.
AM 560 listeners, sign up today to receive a free financial education video series, The 5 Retirement Pitfalls and How to Avoid Them, courtesy of Steve Shyman, host of Protecting Your Assets radio show, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Sign up is easy, and the 5-part video series is completely free and will arrive in your email inbox. Sign up today. It's free. Please text your name and email address to 833-945-7283. Again, please text your name and email address to 833-945-7283.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at PragerCruise.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do. Bring your ideas to life at Dell.com.
5:38. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Kennedy already slowing up outbound right now, 25 minutes to O'Hare from the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson in, hitting the brakes between Ashland and the Dan Ryan on the inbound side. Bishop Ford slowing up from Cottage Grove into the Ryan merge. And again, a reminder to our friends traveling west this morning on the Reagan I-88 eastbound out near Dixon, close to the Dixon toll. The entire eastbound toll road is shut down due to an overturned semi. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Partly sunny and warm, high 84 today. Partly cloudy and 66 overnight, 69 and cloudy right now. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. After Tuesday night's debate, an offer was made to President Trump by Kamala's campaign manager that let's do another debate. She had so much fun. Let's do it again. Trump mulled it over. He was in Tucson yesterday, and he had this to say.
Because we've done 2 debates and because they were successful, there will be no third debate. It's too late anyway. The voting's already begun. You got to go out and vote. We got to vote.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line.
Yeah. I'm just seeing if this microphone works.
Okay.
Yes. Text us if you don't want to call in.
So what say you, the right call by Trump not to do another debate with Kamala?
I was upset. I mean, I think this is a dumb decision. I would love to see a town hall on, say, Fox or anywhere but ABC or CBS. A town hall with them, the podium, the lectern's gone, walking around, taking questions from the audience, not from moderators. That's what I was really hoping for, because I think he needs to redeem himself. He didn't do his homework. I mean, she prepared, and it showed. And I just think that he needs another crack at the apple just to make this, just to get some possible undecided voters back in his arena.
That starts from the premise he lost them, and that is decidedly unclear. In point of fact, there really isn't much evidence that Kamala got any bump from from Tuesday night's debate, and there's some evidence from Trump's own pollster, Tony Fabrizio, who I know well and is a very good pollster, I've used him for 20 years. Very good. So, yeah, he's Trump's pollster, but he's one of the best in the business, if not the best. He and a colleague, 5,600 person battleground state before the debate, Harris and Trump deadlocked at 46%. Post-debate, Trump leading 48 to 46% in the battleground states.
Where it matters.
Collectively in the battleground states. Now, that's still within the margin of error, but it speaks to, and you've seen other headlines, New York Post, Kamala won the debate, but there's no post-debate pump. And Rui Teixeira, who is his Substack, I think, is the Liberal Patriot. He points out something very important in terms of understanding what's happening here. Yeah, liberalpatriot.com, Rui Teixeira. Kamala Harris has a working class problem. The Democrat Socialist Party does, the New Bolsheviks do generally, but she does in particular, and also compared to the big guy. The latest New York Times Siena poll has Harris trailing Trump among working class non-college voters by 17 points. That's identical to Biden's working class deficit in the last New York Times poll before he dropped out.
Okay.
When it was going to be a catastrophe if he stayed in. He's in the same place with this cohort of Americans. It's also way worse than Biden's deficit among those voters in 2020, which he lost by 4 points. And we all know how close that race was, even if you just take it on the merits. So Harris, relative to Biden in 2020, is doing 10 points worse among white working class, 18 points worse among non-white working class. The latter is despite considerable improvement for Harris among this demographic since Biden dropped out. He goes on just to share, there's no sugarcoating it. And this is a Democrat, but he's a Democrat who's sort of Joel Kotkin. He's sort of in tune with what's happening demographically in this country, and he actually puts some thought and consideration into the attitudes of people that don't have a college degree or not part of sort of the managerial class that we talked about quite a bit yesterday. There's no sugarcoating it, Race Teixeira. It's a serious problem for Democrats. College-educated America may be delighted with candidate Harris, but working-class America clearly is not. And this just in, there are a lot more working class than college-educated. So, yeah, it's tied. He's up a point. She's up a point nationally in battleground states, individually in battleground states. But the underlying dynamics, I say again, Trump had the advantage going into the Tuesday night debate. He comes out of the Tuesday night debate with the advantage. And perhaps he says, there's no point to this. Let her run and hide. Let her continue to fail to do, which she failed to do on that debate stage, all the media pumping her up notwithstanding, which is to provide some definition, particularly on the preeminent issues for these voters, which is matters economic, their household budgets, their declining wages, and increasing prices for the things that people need to survive. She didn't do that. She did a good job of bobbing and weaving and using bromides like my values haven't changed.
And looking cutesy.
Yeah, to cover up and, and baiting Trump into the tangents he went on. And that's where the victory was scored, according to all the pundits. But as Teixeira says, they may be very satisfied. The pundit class may be very satisfied with what happened on Tuesday night. The electorate, much less so.
Well, she's already asking for a second debate, and now that he's not going to take the debate, I think for now until November 5th, she's going to say repeatedly that he's scared to debate her because she did so well and he's afraid of her.
I believe we owe it to the voters to have another debate. I said it then, I say it now. It's time to turn the page.
Yeah, okay. Well, the problem is she's flip-flopped on that issue like every other one, right? Initially, Trump agreed to 3 debates, let's not forget, and she only agreed to September 10th.
Right.
With the if he shows up, maybe I'll do another one kind of thing. So the bravado coming from Kamala Harris comes across as about as authentic as her metamorphosis on fracking, EV mandates, and just about every other issue under the sun.
Taxes on tips, everything.
Greg and Schaumburg. Hey, Greg.
Greg.
Oh, are you there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. He should do another debate. He should do it totally different, though. When the questioner asks him something, he should then say, I've got a more important issue that we have to discuss. And then he should turn it around and take control over the narrative on every single question. And he should be posing questions to Kamala Harris, because there's no one that is doing that. And thus she's getting away with the Seinfeld, essentially, strategy, talking about nothing. Everything that she said in that debate the other night was platitudes and meaningless verbiage. And there needs to be somebody that can take control of that and really be aggressive with her, as opposed to the way Trump came out on the stage. And you could tell instantly when he didn't walk over and shake her hand that he was not on his game that night. He needs to get in the game. He needs to attack her. He needs to show how vapid that woman is. And he better do it, because if not, the media is going to take charge of what is on the table right now, that she won, that she's the better candidate, and it's going to be a darn close election. And then what's going to happen? We're going to have a reiteration of the last election, where they're going to, have it so close, and the Democrats will come in with the key votes that they need in the selective states, and we'll have a reiteration of everything in a very divided country.
Well, here's the thing about that. Well, first of all, I mean, the idea of Trump playing the role of moderator is something we were talking about on the show for, 6 weeks. Right, between the June debate and this one, when it became Kamala, I think my immediate reaction. I think my phrase has been, whoever talks the least wins that debate. And to pose the questions you knew the moderators weren't going to pose about her evolution on so many issues. So there were moments where he almost tried to do that. Maybe this is something you should ask her, and he sort of posed a rhetorical question to her. But after watching him do this thing 7 times, 8 times, you sort of pick up a pattern. And I just
he can. He can learn. He can learn. He can do that quickly. No, we'd never underestimate Donald Trump. He can do that instantly, and the country is salivating for that confrontation. If this doesn't happen, the scenario is going to play out exactly as I just said it, and there are national security consequences. Don't laugh, Dan.
Well,
these Democrats cheat. They are unethical, and they are going to put. Listen, okay, Dan. I'll play narrator right now. Do you think the Democrats want to put the country in a situation where they get their person in any way, shape, or form, even if it means civil violence here? Absolutely.
Okay. And so that means Trump needs to debate again?
Have to do, exactly, because we don't want her in power. We don't want to give her the power of an executive order bonanza for the first 6 months of her. Look what we've had with Biden. Look how it's destroyed the country. Look at how she wants to give money out the wazoo. Look at how, I know you don't agree with me on this thing, but look at how tenuous the dollar is on the global stage in terms of the
being the reserve currency, not that tenuous.
Exactly, and I know you don't agree with it.
But okay, thanks for the call, Greg. So here's the thing. I'm a proponent of debates. I like them. I like to see more of them.
I want him to redeem himself.
But the point is, what's in his strategic interest? It's very much the conversation we had during the primary when he didn't debate Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis at all. And if I recall, most Trump supporters understood that, like there's nothing in it for him. And the point that Rui Teixeira makes as a Democrat is, what looked like this, and is obviously being reported as this overwhelming, resounding Kamala victory. Well, not when it comes to actually the job at hand, which is to win battleground states, to pile up electoral votes to be the next president. There's not really much evidence to support that claim. And so what's in it? So it's the same question as we posed to about Trump in the primary. What's in it for Trump to do another debate? I'd like to see it. I want to see more. I want to see him improve. I want to see him take the advice and counsel that I've offered and untold commentaries on this show and in writing, all the things that Greg has said and so much more. And it's not that complicated. And maybe he can do it. I doubt it. I don't think he can.
He did so much better during the second debate with Hillary Clinton. I mean, he always does better the second or third debate. And this is, well, he said some stupid things. I mean, telling her that Joe Biden hates her, what is that? Like, he was just not focused.
Well, that's.
But he could say something like that too in the third debate.
Dissipates into the ether. That doesn't matter. What Greg is talking about is Trump methodically breaking Kamala down by exercising restraint and asking incisive questions and focusing relentlessly until he gets the answers. And that's not going to happen. Well, the debate's not going to happen, so maybe this is an imponderable, unless Bret Baier can convince him, well, if you agree to do the debate with us, we'll say Trump will do the debate on Fox, now we'll put it back on Kamala. Maybe Bret's got a little jiu-jitsu move in him. We'll ask him later in the program. But, let's say that Trump sticks to what he said in Tucson yesterday. There's not going to be another debate. 7 or 8 times, have you ever seen him do anything like what I've described or you or Greg was describing? Not really, not consistently. His debate performance on Tuesday night wasn't a disaster. It was just uneven. The first 40 minutes, fine. He was stoic. She was mean mugging. She was being petty. He got the tariff thing is a wash. That was a mess. She comes out of the gate not having an answer to the most obvious question imaginable, which is, what do you say to people who say they're not better off than they were 4 years ago? And she,
talks about her childhood.
Yeah. It wasn't like it wasn't a Biden performance for Trump on Tuesday night. It just wasn't what it could have been. But I didn't really have any expectation that it would be. I just had hope that he would do something that is so clear and so obvious and avoid all of the obvious baits, which he didn't, because that's not who Trump is. And you're not going to turn a 70-year-old dude into somebody he's not. I'm sorry.
All right.
And maybe Trump realizes that and realizes that, on balance, I hold my own. She misses the opportunity that she needs to consummate to provide the definition that would actually give working class people, for example, some reason to consider her. And but I mean, it's all downside and no upside for me. So why?
We do have the VP debate October 1st, but I have a feeling Tim Walz is going to drop out of that.
No, he won't. Okay. Sean and Darian.
Yeah, morning, guys. I think it's very smart of him not to debate her again. Now he can just run on his policies, and she can run on their failed policies. I think it's a very, very smart move, and I'm glad that he decided to do that. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. Well, the other thing too is if she goes back into hiding and doesn't do any interviews and so on and so forth, then she's falling right into the trap that I go back to Rui Tuchera is identifying. You're not giving any definition. You think by my values haven't changed and two-stepping your way around all of these conflicts that you're deftly avoiding any definition, and that redounds to your benefit. And it could be, and I think the argument is fairly persuasive, and the numbers indicate that the argument is fairly persuasive, that it's that very lack of definition that is hampering her ability. So, you have to look at it from a couple different angles. The other thing I'd say about the election being close and then the Democrats' superior skills at skullduggery combined with their infrastructure. Yeah, I mean, I'm not measuring the drapes here or anything, but there are some dynamics at play that I just remind you we're not, this time that we're not in that are going to be different than 2020. For example, 65 million ballots being preemptively mailed out. drop ship like leaflets like we were in Baghdad. That was a huge advantage to the skullduggerous efforts, to the infrastructure that the Democrats had that was superior. Republicans were not preemptively challenging the administration of elections in these battleground states the way they are. It is very different, and all of that was needed for Biden to eke out a narrow victory. And he came to the table as, a steady hand from times gone by, and there was some
Good old Joe.
moderate things he could point to, right? Scranton Joe, he's not some wild-eyed leftist from California. Well, Kamala has none of those things going for her. Neil in LaGrange.
Hey, good morning. A couple things. Do you think this could be a negotiating play with him, with Trump's? Now, since it's flipped, she's pushing. He says no, and then finally, he acquiesces and says, okay, if you want to do it, let's do it this way. That's one thing.
He's Trump.
Secondly, yeah, he's Trump. That's,
no means no.
I don't know.
But his instincts so often are amazing. And then she said something on the debate, the thing about Goldman Sachs. Well, didn't they come out yesterday and kind of refute that? And then the other thing that was kind of scary is that she said she owns a gun. Well, that's scary in itself. I mean, how's that possible with all with all the Secret Service around her? And then there was another article about when she first became DA, there was a bunch of something with the San Francisco Archdiocese and her predecessor.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not, but anyway, thanks for taking my call. Have a great day.
Thanks, Neil. Randy on the expressway.
Hey, Dan.
Somewhere, yeah.
I'm out here on the west side. But anyway, Kamala told the truth on Wednesday morning or on Tuesday night. And Wednesday morning, you said it was all about the sound bites. What she said in her opening statement is, tonight you're going to hear lies and more lies. And that's the only thing that she ever said was the truth. I think the Trump campaign should pick up on that and have the debate, but point out every single lie that she's ever said.
Thanks for the call, Randy. All right, coming up at 6:06, I mean, we'll transition to this nicely at the point that, was it Neil that was making, Neil from LaGrange, about Trump's instincts?
Mm-hmm.
It is. I mean, he does things that are counterintuitive that sometimes leave you cringing a bit, and yet they work out brilliantly for him. They're taking the geese. This looks to be another such instance, 6:06.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Mayor Johnson's top aide under fire over anti-police comments. The Dalton School District official is suing the district that employs her. Jesse Jackson Jr. wants a pardon. Former Villa Park man sentenced to 70 years for killing his girlfriend and celebrating safely Mexican Independence Day. Man shot and killed as well inside a CHA public housing building. We'll have an update on that story. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Problem for Boeing. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A strike at the company already under scrutiny over airplane manufacturing.
Hey, we deserve more. We are doing the job that is required of us, and we need to be compensated fairly.
He's among the workers at Boeing that walked off their jobs after midnight near Seattle, Washington, and in Oregon.
This is the first strike at Boeing in 16 years, and it could throw a major wrench in the company's already fragile supply chain. Overnight, 33,000 Boeing employees agreeing to go on this strike after Boeing and the union had been in contract negotiations this past week.
Fox Business Network's Lauren Simonetti.
The workers rejected the company's new contract offer because it didn't include the 40% pay hike that they were asking for.
Boeing had offered a 25% pay raise. At a rally in Tucson, Arizona, former President Trump proposed,
as part of our additional tax cuts, we will end all taxes on overtime.
Now, the former president, who will rally today in another state considered a toss-up in Nevada, also said he'll not debate Vice President Harris again after their Tuesday showdown. She wants another debate. Harris will campaign today in Pennsylvania after 2 rallies in another toss-up state, North Carolina.
Donald Trump is not fit to be president of the United States and should never again occupy our nation's highest office.
President Biden's going to meet today with Britain's new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. They'll discuss the war in Ukraine amid a threat.
Russian President Vladimir Putin warning NATO is at risk of going to war with Russia. That's if Europe and the United States give the okay for Ukraine to attack Russian territory with long-range Western missiles. President Putin says Moscow would view that as direct participation that would change the very essence of the conflict.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
69 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Controversy continues to dog a top aide to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Kennedy Bartley faces calls to resign due to a backlash over grossly anti-police comments made on 2 podcasts. Alderman Brendan Riley says Bartley is at the center as well of communication failures by the Johnson administration.
Communication is so important, and really where we've seen a deficit with this administration is regular dialogue. And so I would say there's a need to really ramp that up and improve that operation.
The mayor will not respond today directly. He is in Washington, D.C. at the White House. City of Chicago preparing for this weekend's Mexican Independence Day celebrations, hoping to provide space for plenty of revelry while avoiding hours of gridlock by cars downtown. Chicago police issuing a friendly warning.
Mexican Independence Day is a celebration of our culture, so please be respectful and celebrate responsibly.
Organizers of the El Grito Fest in Grant Park are hoping that festival will give people a chance to get out of their cars and enjoy the traditional celebration.
Having a organized and fun and festive place for people to go downtown is going to take a lot of those cars off the street.
OEMC and Chicago police say they have a plan to restrict access to downtown if need be. A man was charged Thursday after being identified as the driver who allegedly left the scene of a car crash that killed a 25-year-old pedestrian from Glen Ellen. Wheaton police say the driver, 26-year-old Miguel Angel Abrego, was taken into custody and charged with leaving the scene of an accident involving death. And DuPage County prosecutors Thursday announced a 70-year prison sentence for a Villa Park man found guilty of stabbing his girlfriend to death. Marco Antonio Rubio entered a blind plea of guilty to 1 count of first-degree murder in March of 2024. Bears looking to do something for the first time since pre-COVID. Team eyes its first 2-0 start when they battle the Texans in Houston on Sunday Night Football. Week 2 of the NFL season kicks off with the Bills dominating Miami 31-10 last night. Cubs take on the basement-dwelling Rockies at Coors Field tonight, while the White Sox take on the A's. College football tomorrow, Northwestern hopes to avoid the upset bug when they host Eastern Illinois. The news, a service of Waukegan Roofing. For commercial roofing, replace or repair, contact the company that has been replacing and repairing commercial roofs in Chicagoland since 1914 and shares your values. WaukeganRoofing.com. Emergencies, welcome. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Attention maintenance coordinators and chief engineers. Welding is a craft requiring highly skilled personnel and specialized equipment. But who do you call when you need welding? Vans Industrial can perform all types of welding at your site or in their shop.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a metal fabricator and installer, welding is a huge part of our business. At Vans, we have trained AWS certified welders, skilled in welding all types of alloys. We can weld carbon steel, stainless steel, brass, and aluminum with a variety of techniques, including MIG, TIG, and stick. We have equipment to reach the farthest parts for the tightest areas of your facility.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics insured at the highest level to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your welding project today. That's 833-VANSIND. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and this look at the roads, a service of Valdecas Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecas Windows, your award-winning platinum elite Pella certified contractor, Valdecas.com. Kennedy right now stop and go between Nagel and Montrose. And O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange is 26 minutes on your commute this morning. Tri-State jamming up stop and go northbound on 294 right between I-88 and the Ike merge. Delays on the CTA Blue Line. Trains are standing near Austin due to an unauthorized person on the tracks. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Warm day today, partly sunny with a high 84. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 66. Clouds and sun, it'll be warm tomorrow, the high 87. Partly sunny, warm on Sunday, high Sunday 86. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
69 at O'Hare, next news 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about Trump's decision not to do another debate with Kamala Harris. Getting your reactions to that. But part of the fallout from Tuesday night's debate, the issues that get the most attention. Abortion got some. Afghanistan withdrawal got some. But it's being really dominated by immigration and specifically
I know.
the missing animals of Springfield, Ohio. And Trump was in Tucson, Arizona yesterday, as we were mentioning. It's where he said he wasn't going to do another debate. This is also where he expressed concern for the geese of Springfield, Ohio again.
20,000 illegal Haitian immigrants have descended upon the town of 58,000 people destroying their entire way of life. This was a beautiful community, and now it's horrible what's happened. Enrollment on the state's Medicaid and food assistance programs have soared. Motor vehicle accidents have skyrocketed. Recording of 911 calls even show residents are reporting that the migrants are walking off with the town's geese. They're taking the geese.
It was a 911 call.
You know where the geese are? In the park, in the lake. And even walking off with their pets. My dog's been taken. My dog's been stolen. This can only happen. These people are the worst. I'm telling you, Biden and Kamala, this is the worst combination in the history of our country.
They're taking the geese. 312-642-5600, turkey.pro, answer and text line.
And you texted me the craziest meme of somebody putting their orange tabby cat inside a flour tortilla.
Yeah.
And wrapping it up, and then the cat looking at the camera.
People
like,
prepare cats differently for consumption.
I don't know what to believe on that. I mean, I saw the Haitian woman and the dead cat that she stomped to death, and then she took a bite of, and the blood in her teeth. That's not fake.
But it hasn't been necessarily identified as happening in Springfield.
It happened in Ohio, but yeah.
Well, there was a guy walking around with a goose in Columbus too. Could have just been an Ohio State fan. You know, they're barbarians.
Oh, right, exactly.
Yeah. So,
but then you see other things like this guy stomping on a cat. I mean, there's video, but I don't know if this is Springfield, Ohio.
Well, Jesse Waters had a dude from Springfield, Ohio, on his show yesterday. I mean, in addition to, by the way, all the Springfield, Ohio residents that have spoken at town board meetings that we've heard from, they're being mischaracterized. There's something going on I'll get to in a second, but Mark Sanders is a resident of Springfield, Ohio, and he had they're taking the geese. He had this to say about the geese.
What are we hearing about people's pets disappearing? You keep hearing that. Is that even true?
There's a lot of vicious rumors floating around. I will tell you that our geese, our duck population is nearly decimated in our two parks. There have been, you played the 911 call. The city manager of Springfield denied it existed. And I do appeal to him tonight on your show for a public apology to those that he told a non-truth to. There is a report. There is a 911 call. There was a witness. Therefore, there was an incident in my eyes. As far as the cats and dogs, I think that's a bit sensationalized. I won't say it hasn't occurred. I've heard from others it has, but nobody's ever given a infallible description of when, where, and who.
Mark Sanders, is it true that the cats and dogs of Springfield are living together, inducing anarchy in your community? This is so interesting to me because we're having this sort of what would seem at first to be a silly debate about geese and household pets, but it's really about illegal immigration. And focusing all this attention on the animals as a proxy for a discussion of illegal immigration, who do you think that benefits? If Rui Teixeira is right and Kamala Harris has a working class problem, what do you think the working class people of Springfield, Ohio, and around the country watching this story play out are thinking? They're not thinking that Kamala Harris is the answer, I'll tell you that. That's not going to improve her standing.
Nope.
So, it's an odd way in to what needs to be a sober discussion about illegal immigration. But, you can't get to some people, I guess, with the murders of young women. So you get to them with
cats.
They're taking the geese. They're taking the geese. It's really something to behold.
It makes me want to drive there myself and talk to people. Because you have did I just say the L word? You have people who are on Twitter reporters who are there, who have interviews in great lengths with people who said, I saw them driving around in a van with cats in the van. Haitian immigrants.
I mean, can you get beyond cats for a minute?
No, because they're my feline friends, and I'm a cat woman. I'm a cat lady. I'm not a childish cat lady. I'm just a cat lady.
Cat lady for Trump.
I am.
Dave in Romeoville.
Yeah, Dan, I was wondering, could they solve a problem at Olympia Fields? Maybe a couple families in the halfway house, keep the geese off the golf course. You have to worry about stepping in anything.
Yeah, some of my low stingers have taken care of the geese of Olympia Fields. Thanks for the call, Dave.
Told you to hit the ball higher.
Larry in Elmhurst.
Hey, good morning. Hey, I think the geese around here have caught wind of this because they're all up on the roofs of buildings over here. And when the wind comes out of the west, it blows all that crap right off the roof. They sit there and look at you from the rooftops.
Okay. We have a geese problem in Elmhurst now. All right. Mark in Libertyville, Texas.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, Mark, go ahead.
Good morning. Actually, I'm at Liberty Hill, Texas now.
Oh, Liberty Hill, Texas. Got it. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Well, formerly Libertyville, but
Gotcha.
just another American or Illinois family that left.
There you go. Libertyville to Liberty Hill, the Mark
That's it.
story.
Yeah. And
Okay.
it's much more sane down here, Dan, down in Liberty Hill. I can assure you.
I have no doubt. Even though
Yeah.
Libertyville is a lovely community, but it's still in Illinois. That's the problem. Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. My question is, and Dan, I follow this stuff closely, why the media, or why our side continues, the media has been a joke. I mean, literally, it's from Brian Williams just grabbing at Obama's ankles, when they first went through the White House walk after he got put into office. It's disgraceful, from Martha Raddatz to Candy Crowley jumping up during Romney, trying to make a point on Benghazi. Why does our side even give these people any airtime at all?
Well,
I mean, this isn't just a Trump thing. This goes all the way back, and truly it precedes even Obama. I mean, they were trashing H. Bush.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mark.
That's what they do.
Well, right. I mean, that's why it's interesting to me. So the other big story coming out of the debate is, of course, the performance of the moderators and was it rigged and so on and so forth.
Yeah, because apparently there's an ABC whistleblower who says that the Kamala's team was handed the questions in advance, and they told her that they would fact check Trump and not her, allegedly.
Yeah, handed the questions in advance, like what do you say to people who aren't better, who say they're not better off than they were 4 years ago, and she didn't know how to answer it? I mean,
well, that was her answer, was deflecting.
Yeah, the whole thing was like getting those questions in advance provides no advantage. There was no curveball there. But the point is, from my I don't like the whining about that. But I will say this, there's so many people that still suffer under these delusions. It's very much like they just accept what Ali Mayorkas and Kamala had to say about Biden's mental acuity. I've heard that he's robust and exacting and probing in meetings, and he's still a tiger in the sack. So that's good enough for me. And then they see him on a debate stage, and they're shocked.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been paying attention. So it's the same thing with media. It's like the D.C. press corps is the comm shop for the new Bolshevik party. They are the comm shop for the Democrats. They have been for 50 years. And the last decade, they stripped off all the facades and formally declared it. But until you see it, until you see David Muir and Lindsay Davis do their routine, there's just a lot of people that still have this default of, ABC is hosting. And I think they'll be skewed. But, try to be fair. There's not going to be fair. That fair is not in their job description. But it's the same thing I say all the time. I don't trust the D.C. press corps. Did you see what NBC reported? Which is it? So people are of two minds on the media, and this is why it's interesting to me, this vociferous reaction to how stilted the debate was thanks to these moderators. But, I mean, that was baked into the price. Certainly Trump's campaign people and Trump, he was complaining about it for weeks in advance of the debate, had some anticipation of what was to come, and then you prepare for it, and you're ready to go to use it to your advantage, to use the momentum they think they're going to provide Kamala to turn it right back on him. And he didn't really do that effectively. But nonetheless, one of the big stories is this idea the debate was rigged and it was unfair and the American people lost out. And that redounds to the benefit of Trump, too. So fine.
I mean, he started talking about the assassination attempt and sir, we're going to need to move on. I mean, God forbid if you remind the American people what happened 2 months ago.
Yeah, I know. It was unfair. And you're shocked.
Oh, it's just...
Ken in Plainfield.
Yeah, someone who used to caddy at a golf course and had a subdivision, lived in a subdivision with a pond behind me. I think one of the few redeeming qualities of the Haitians is taking the geese. They're pretty vicious animals.
They are vicious animals. Yeah. Thanks for the call,
good luck
Ken.
grabbing them.
Ed in Oak Brook.
Yeah, you know what? The good part about all of this is if they can dump 20,000 Haitians in that town in Ohio, they could do that to any town in this country. And I don't see why people are not afraid of that. Can you imagine jumping 20,000 people in Oak Park? I mean, they might love it, but if they did it in Oak Brook, they would destroy the whole town. So that's what they should be concentrating. That's what Trump should bring up. And another thing, you're talking about Trump debating, he should debate her because just looking at her and hearing her voice is such a turnoff that I think he gained more points by just letting her be that snotty look on her face during the whole debate.
Thanks for the call, Ed. Well, it is happening in other towns, actually. And this is why the more air you can get for this story, almost regardless of how you get it, the better it is. The more people are talking, the more awareness is being generated. CBS News Pittsburgh reporting on a community of 4,000 in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania.
Yeah, early voting starts Monday, by the way.
Charleroi, Pennsylvania, small town of 4,000. Well, what happened?
These are the faces of children who don't speak English and often endured dangerous, traumatic journeys to reach the U.S., who now attend Charleroi Elementary School. In addition to language barriers, there is a lack of familiarity with American culture, American education, and American ideals.
And some of these kids have not been in school at all. Even though they had schooling offered to them, they didn't always participate.
The immigrant population here in Charleroi has grown by more than 2,000% in the last 2 years. The majority of the English language learners, or ELLs, in the district are from Haiti. Most left the country with their families, who were then able to find work at one of the manufacturing plants here in Charleroi.
One student today was writing an essay about how difficult it was for him to decide to leave Haiti. He said, you know, that was where I was born, that is my country, but I knew that I wouldn't be able to reach any of my dreams.
The district has already had to hire more ELL teachers, an ELL coach for the teachers, and an interpreter that cost over $400,000. And with the growth expected to continue, the district projects spending another $300,000 next school year. We're told increasing taxes isn't an option, so the district is looking to the state.
And at recess, they go out and eat geese.
Well, you know, I mean,
that's the reality, though, of what's happening in small town America.
Well, and the point is sort of the point that Ed is bringing up, and that most of the Springfield residents have been making. It hasn't been about geese. It's been about resources,
classroom,
public safety, classroom size, what's happening in the schools. I mean, there's a
and the increase in auto accidents. Because that's affecting their insurance premiums. And there's montage after montage of different accidents that are happening in Springfield, Ohio.
Well, that's part of public safety for certain. And so this, of course, has leveled up to White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre, who is disgusted by this filth Amy Jacobson is peddling.
The Springfield, Ohio Police Department has debunked this very bizarre and very hateful smear that's out there. It is what is happening here is an attempt to tear apart communities and disrespect. Let's not forget also disrespecting law enforcement. And that is the opposite of what our country deserves. It is undignified and an insult to all of us as Americans, not just one community, but to all of us as Americans. And it is spreading filth that makes the lives of the communities that are being smeared here, it puts their lives in danger. And it is just hate speech. That's what it is. And some of the news organizations here have reported that some Haitian American, Haitian immigrants are fearing for their safety right now because of a result of conspiracy theory. This is what this is.
Yeah, the real story is the backlash against Haitian Americans, don't you know? The late, great Norm Macdonald had a great turn of a phrase talking about the left and the media. He tweeted out, what terrifies me is if ISIS were to detonate a nuclear device and kill 50 million Americans, imagine the backlash against peaceful Muslims. 50 million Americans being murdered, that's not the story. The story is a potential backlash against Muslims if ISIS was responsible for such an atrocity. And so that's the story we're supposed to believe here. The story isn't the Haitian immigrant, not Haitian American, the Haitian immigrant who's under TPS, temporary protected status, who drives into the wrong lane in front of a bus and he kills an 11-year-old and injures 12 others, charged with vehicular manslaughter. The story isn't the woman who spoke about her mother-in-law being run down by, again, a Haitian under temporary protected status in Springfield, Ohio, and killed. It's not what's happening in the schools. It's not what's happening with taxpayer-funded budgets. None of that's the story. The story is the backlash. The story is that these people don't feel safe. And so, and no one, I mean, no responsible person is promoting violence against anybody. Nobody's even blaming the Haitians. They're blaming the people who dropped 20,000 Haitians who are unprepared for the customs of living in a community like Springfield, or just sort of a peaceful, pluralist community that actually has mediating institutions. And so there's some assimilation issues. I mean, just to refresh, the woman whose mother-in-law was killed by a Haitian migrant, so she described, she herself and her husband did a trip to Haiti.
Yeah, so they know what's going on down there.
Right, and you do trips to Haiti from a philanthropic perspective. So, I mean,
it's not a all-you-can-eat inclusive resort you stay at.
No. So I mean, there's all of this is exactly the sort of construct that Norm Macdonald was talking about. You're not supposed to be concerned about your interests, your safety, your family, if it makes somebody else uncomfortable, particularly somebody else's who, I'm talking more broadly here, not about the Haitians that have TPS, temporary protected status, particularly people who have no right to be here. Because the attitude that KJP is taking with respect to the Haitians is the attitude she and her party have with respect to people here illegally as well. Imagine the backlash. Pay no attention to the death and destruction. Just imagine the backlash. Right. Joe in Frankfurt.
Yeah, hi, guys. Great show. Listen to you every morning. Hey, here's one thing I want to point out, and no one seems to be talking about it. When Trump brought up the fact that this was happening, that these Haitians were eating and killing pets, everyone just went in, everyone starts laughing, and David Muir has at the ready a signed affidavit from the city manager saying that this is all BS. Now, I want to know why he had that at the ready, why as a moderator he felt compelled to debunk Trump, and what else did they have on hand for anything he might say?
Thanks for the call, Joe. I don't think he had an affidavit.
No, but he had spoken to the city manager earlier that day.
It was also reported prior to the debate.
Yeah.
And the debunking, what they claim is debunking, is not debunking. It's the city manager, and you heard that from that Springfield resident who was on with Jesse Waters. What you heard from the city manager and the police chief there is sort of we're not focused on that. I can neither confirm nor deny. I don't have any information on that. So that's just trying to extricate yourself from getting into that discussion. That's not saying it's not happening. And again, you have a multitude of residents of every demographic telling you that some things on the order of what has been described are indeed happening. There's the 911 call that we played yesterday that the Federalist got, and so forth. So, this is of the same order. You want to get into it's geese only and not cats and dogs. This is the whole, you're missing the forest for the twigs. And the point is that the more people are talking about this, the more that the illegal immigration issue is coming into focus, or the handling even of legal aspects of our immigration system, like temporary protected status, which is a legal aspect of it. But no one envisions that you are going to drop 20,000 people in a town of 60,000 people and leave them to their own devices. That's not proper administration of any system. So it's the intersection of this incompetence. And again, where is this happening? This is not border towns anymore. The epicenter of these discussions is places like Aurora, Colorado, and Springfield, Ohio, and Charleroi, Pennsylvania. And, that's center cut for Trump, isn't it?
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, Merrick Garland, he's the Attorney General. No, seriously. He is very concerned about criticism of the Department of Justice. It's dangerous. Dangerous. You're making lawyers unsafe, like you're making Haitians unsafe.
Later, good for Usher. We'll explain, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
6:33, 66 degrees. The death toll in the aftermath of a huge typhoon in Vietnam has climbed to 233. Firefighters battling 3 major wildfires in the mountains east of Los Angeles are taking advantage of cooler weather.
Behind our house is kind of unfortunate. They said they're holding the line up on top, which we hope that's true. We hope the winds don't shift. And, we're still worried.
And the worst danger appears to have passed near Reno, Nevada. Residents in parishes in Louisiana's southern bayou may not get power back until Monday.
At 9 a.m., we were reporting about 400,000. We're down to about 355 now.
Louisiana's energy company saying power had been restored as of early this morning to about 50% of their customers. Former President Trump ruling out another debate with VP Kamala Harris.
In a post on Truth Social, Donald Trump said rather than debating, Kamala Harris should focus on what she should have done during the last almost 4-year period. He said he won Tuesday night's debate. Following their encounter, the Harris campaign said that the vice president would welcome another face-off with the former president. Trump also debated Joe Biden back in June, the debate that effectively ended Biden's re-election bid following a halting, stumbling performance from the aging president. I'm Nick Harper in Washington.
New York City's City Council is taking steps to make reparations for descendants of slaves a reality.
The effects of past harms still resonate today. These legacies manifest in systemic inequities that disadvantage Black and brown people, especially Black and brown women.
Council Speaker Adrienne Adams is backing the measure. Actor Chad McQueen is dead at the age of 63. You recognize that last name. McQueen, known for playing Dutch in the Karate Kid franchise, died Wednesday in Palm Desert, California. His longtime attorney announced he passed as the result of organ failure. He was the only son of actor Steve McQueen. In other news we're following this morning, controversy continues to dog a top aide to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Kennedy Bartley has faced calls to resign due to a backlash she received over grossly anti-police comments on 2 podcasts. The mayor is out of town today. City of Chicago prepping for this weekend's Mexican Independence Day celebrations. Organizers of El Grito in Grant Park are hoping the festival will give a chance to people to get out of their cars and enjoy a more traditional celebration on foot. DuPage County prosecutors announcing a 70-year prison sentence for a Villa Park man found guilty of stabbing his girlfriend to death Marco Antonio Rubio entered that blind plea back in March. The news, a service of Blue Star Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine.
Not fun.
Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all of that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service this hour of Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance. With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality home protection. It's a win-win, so what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. The Kennedy at 45, O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound, an accident at Des Plaines Avenue. Dan Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and slow traffic on the Tri-State northbound right at Roosevelt Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Partly sunny and warm. High 84 today. Partly cloudy and 66 overnight. Mostly cloudy and 67. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Boy, there is stiff competition for shamelessness in this administration. Regime, I think, is actually the better word, keeping with the new Bolshevik sensibility. First, you get the moralizing from KJP about what this regime has inflicted upon small-town America. I would say big city America, too, but big city America welcomed it. That's the difference.
Yeah. We asked for it.
They have stones, these people. Or they're just dumb, or it's a combination of the two. But, boy, you could... The hypocrisy is almost suffocating. It really is. To listen to Merrick Garland talk about legal norms, especially in that sort of Katharine Hepburn voice that he has, is just
awful.
It is really a struggle. I mean, KJP is almost entertaining because she's so ill-equipped. You like her.
No, because she's entertaining. The entertainment value of her. She's the worst press secretary in the history of the world. Congratulations.
Yeah.
She's a quadruple threat. She's a woman. She's a lesbian. She's a migrant. And what else is she?
She's a woman of color.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Quadruple threat. Yeah.
And yesterday she just walked off.
Sideshow Karine.
Question she didn't like, so she left the room.
She is.
She thinks she's a hot number. Too.
Yeah. She just feels so strongly. I know, she feels so strongly. Merrick Garland gave a speech yesterday at the Justice Department to send a signal about legal norms and these precarious times. He is very concerned about you deplorables criticizing the government's attorneys. It's very dangerous.
A range of public officials across the country. Over the past 3.5 years, there has been an escalation of attacks on the Justice Department's career lawyers, agents, and other personnel that go far beyond scrutiny, criticism, and legitimate and necessary oversight of our work. These attacks have come in the form of conspiracy theories, dangerous falsehoods, efforts to bully and intimidate career public servants by repeatedly and publicly singling them out, and threats of actual violence. Through your work, you have made clear that the Justice Department will not be intimidated by these attacks. But it is dangerous and outrageous that you have to endure them. It is dangerous to target and intimidate individual employees of this department solely for doing their jobs. And it is outrageous that you have to face these unfounded attacks because you are doing what is right and upholding the rule of law. You deserve better. You deserve gratitude.
Now, all 115,000 Department of Justice employees, please stand and applaud yourselves.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that line. They're victims now? There are betters. There are heroes.
They deserve better.
Persevered so much.
How dare someone single out a public official for criticism? That's dangerous. Separating out any sort of threats of violence, which, of course, no one condones. Not condoning that. I also want specifics from Merrick Garland. He just gives you categories, of course, because he's just so beset by what's happened. How dare you impugn the integrity of these 115,000 heroes that are assembled before me to hear this speech I've meticulously crafted. How dare you, American people, you deplorables. Now give yourself a round of applause and let's go
get back to work.
Let's go find some grandmas in the Rust Belt that were in the vicinity of D.C. on January 6th of 2021 and throw them in a gulag. Hurrah! This guy.
Did he go to New Trier?
No.
No.
I think he was in. I think he's Skokie. He's not North. I mean, he's not New Trier School District.
Oh, Niles North.
I think he was Niles. And unless you raise the specter of some phony justification for any criticism, they only accept compliments. Any criticism of the Department of Justice and all 115,000 employees, every single one. But I want to hear these conspiracy theories that you invent about, oh, they're persecuting this person for political reasons, or they're trying to imprison a president to derail him from running for office again in 2025. I don't want to hear it. Because Merrick Garland is the guardian of our legal norms in the same way that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are the vanguards of our democracy.
Our norms are a promise that we will fiercely protect the independence of this department from political interference in our criminal investigations. Our norms are a promise that we will not allow this department to be used as a political weapon.
Never.
And our norms are a promise that we will not allow this nation to become a country where law enforcement is treated as an apparatus of politics.
You have Merrick Garland's word. You have his word. What more do you people want? They have never engaged in politics. They're about the rule of law, equal protection under it. He will never, ever allow the use of the mighty police power of the Department of Justice to be deployed for unseemly political ends. And to insinuate anything other than that.
And then off with your head.
It's dangerous.
Is it?
You're a
possibly a threat to our democracy?
It is. It is a threat to our democracy. Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, that guy. Woo. That was a doozy. Ruth and Elgin.
Hi. I was just wondering if did Chuck Schumer blast on the steps where he threatened the lawyers in the Supreme Court? Was that dangerous?
Right. When Chuck Schumer said, "We're coming for you." Yeah. No, because he's one of the protectors of our democracy. And the Supreme Court is a threat to our democracy until there's a majority of Democrats on it. Then it's not. Then it becomes a asset of our democracy. Then the Supreme Court goes back to being a protector. But lest you think this is about partisan politics, Merrick Garland just told you it's not. And what do we know? We know that we are supposed to listen to what our betters in public office say and pay no attention to what they do. And if you do that, then you can live a very happy life in Wilmette. Jordan in Antioch.
Good morning. Yep. The balls of these people.
Something.
And that sycophant ahead of the
Merrick Garland's nads were so swollen, Jack Smith had to carry them off stage yesterday.
Yeah, brother, in a wheelbarrow, and they are made of solid brass. This guy. Listen, I'm 52, so I'm old enough to remember way back when, in the good old days, when our Justice Department and the sycophants that are in that administration painted conservatives, Christians, white males, moms that care about their kids, people that might fly a Gadsden flag, people that wanted to go to church, people Latin mass, anybody that even mentions the word 2A, and has painted us as domestic terrorists, violent extremists. Your neighbors, if you live next to these people, you should be concerned. You turned us against each other. You painted us as these evil people that should be avoided. You went out in the media. You threatened us. You persecuted the candidate that we support on Trump. Are you kidding? I mean, I know this is all known to everybody in the AM 560 land, right? This is an echo chamber, but there are maybe some that are listening, maybe some that are. Are you kidding me? This is what and I've said this before, this is what you are voting for. Do you want to continue? I mean, even Obama, Eric Holder wasn't this guy. The best thing, I am not a fan of the Turtle McConnell, but the best thing he ever did was to keep this scumbag out of the Supreme Court.
Well, that's true.
You are voting for flat out, and I know this seems hyperbolic, this seems extreme or exaggerated. You are literally voting for your freedom. Do you want to continue to be painted as the evildoer, as somebody? I mean, they are the epitome of projectionism. The epitome. You have to look up projectionism. You will see the entire Biden, Harris, Garland, the entire administration. That's all they do. Every single thing that comes out of their mouth is what they're saying about themselves. It makes me sick.
Thanks.
So no, I had a guy at our shop during President Obama or President Biden. No, I'm getting so frustrated. Trump's first election, when he first was voted in, the guy went and bought a pistol because he believed that under Mike Pence, they were going to come and black bag his gay daughter, right, and haul her off to. This is how they paint us.
Okay.
And the guy's looking at me, and I said, "Why are you looking at me like that?" He goes, "Well, I know you support it." I'm like, "Dude, are you serious? Like, where do you get this crap from? This is where they get the crap from." Oh, it's so frustrating. Just the nuts on these guys is amazing. And the fact that the sickening part is nobody on the other side, that other 41 million people, will see it any other way. And I don't know how to crack that. I don't know how to get that.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where you have to, for many of these people, you just have to be mugged by reality. Like a lot of people in big cities have been mugged by the reality of the sanctuary city designation. And it wasn't a big deal until it was, until you were in the crosshairs. And, the same goes here until maybe somebody that gets unfairly treated by an institution with the power of the Department of Justice. And the other thing I'll say, and it's the subject of my commentary this week on American greatness, and since there's not going to be another Trump-Kamala debate, apparently, maybe Vance will do it against Walz on October 1st, that the core deliverable of another term of Trump-Vance administration is red wedding for the administrative state. The upper echelons of every single agency gone. The riffing, I don't know, 20, 40, 50. I mean, Elon Musk did 80% at Twitter. I'd be happy with anything close to that. That is the number one priority. If he accomplishes only significant reduction in scope and complete change in leadership of all of these federal agencies, then he will have been a successful president. That's how important it is. And start at the Department of Justice. Vince and Crete.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. I think Merrick Garland and the rest of them in D.C., especially the Justice Department, forgot who serves who. They lost track of who the boss is. We, the voters, are the boss. They think that we should be voting for people that they want, and the way they treat Trump and everybody else is just horrible. I own a little restaurant in Crete, and anytime any one of my employees comes up and says, "Hey, boss, this, or that," or asks a question, I said, "No, you need to understand who the boss is. The boss is the patrons that come in and pay the bills. I don't pay their wages. The patrons pay me, and I pay write that check to them."
Thanks for the call, Vince. Well, that's it. And by the way, red wedding, in case it gets back to Merrick Garland, that's a Game of Thrones metaphor. It's not a threat of violence, Merrick. It's a message that there needs to be a complete reordering of the power relationship between citizen and government, as Vince was referencing, and the power of these agencies has to be dramatically scaled back and returned to the people, a real sort of renaissance of subsidiarity, in addition to leadership of these agencies having the same commitment to the founding principles that, that the Republican Party generally does. That's mission critical. That's the whole thing. Because if Trump and Vance win, look, the Democrats are going to take the position that we can wait them out. And we'll litigate everything. So we can survive 4 years. And if Trump's in office, that means they've moved Kamala aside, which is, what they thought they were probably doing more likely than not. And they can get whoever they want in 28. But the one thing he can do, and it's largely through executive power, although not completely, is zero focus on that administrative state.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Scott Bartmus, co-founder of ESCO, a security and fire alarm services business and a customer of Signature Bank. We work hard to give our customers peace of mind, so it's nice to know that while we have our customers' backs, partners like Signature Bank have ours. When COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty for many businesses, particularly surrounding the PPP loan program, with parameters and deadlines changing constantly. The executives from Signature Bank worked weekends alongside their staff, filling out and submitting applications to ensure they took care of us. That type of dedication is hard to find, but we found it with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's your life, your legacy. Shouldn't it be your choice? For nearly 2 centuries, Catholic Cemetery Chicago has been a haven for families, offering sacred spaces to honor these legacies. Take an active role by pre-planning your final arrangements. Alleviate your loved ones a future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of no interest payments and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Have you noticed all the ads for gold and silver? By now you know if precious metals are right for you. Quite frankly, most major dealers have roughly the same pricing models. Fox Valley Coins offers everything the other large national dealers offer, only with a local, personal touch. Fox Valley Coins will treat you like family. And if you want to stay anonymous, under most circumstances, they don't even need to know your name. Ha! Try that through the mail. When you buy directly from Fox Valley Coins instead of national dealers, you can pick out the actual pieces and they will scientifically analyze the items for authenticity right in front of you. That's a huge advantage. The reason is because 95% of fakes offered are purchased through the mail. Fox Valley Coins buys, sells, and performs appraisals of all precious metals, as well as rare coins and currency. Visit Fox Valley Coins in person, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Naperville-Warrenville border. Fox Valley Coins, family integrity for over 43 years.
We know what a woman is. And at Natural Womanhood, we believe that a woman's fertility is beautiful, powerful, and healthy, not something to be controlled or destroyed by doctors and big pharma. Women deserve better. Women deserve to know and claim the uniqueness of their natural female bodies. Women deserve access to authentic, holistic, and restorative reproductive health solutions. Women deserve to know they have real solutions beyond birth control for treating menstrual cycles issues or for family planning. Options without harmful side effects. Natural Womanhood produces high-quality, informative articles, podcasts, and videos to empower women to know and love their bodies. Find evidence-based information about birth control issues and alternatives, cycle issues like endometriosis, infertility, IVF, and more. Break free from big pharma, get healthier, learn how to work with your doctor to diagnose and treat cycle issues, or learn how to start conversations with resources from Natural Womanhood. Access the latest articles and podcasts, or even get a free consultation at naturalwomanhood.org. Visit naturalwomanhood.org today.
AM 560, The Answer.
Roll your eyes at me. Should hear what we talk about during commercials. Well,
maybe
yes or no?
maybe Open Mic Friday.
No. Heck no.
Fine.
I'll stick my dog on you. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Brett Baer joins us at 7:07. Can Brett get Trump to do another debate? We'll see. 7:07.
I hope so. Today, sunny, warm, a high of 84 degrees. It is 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
More turbulence for Boeing. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. This time, the problem's on the ground.
Our members rejected the contract by 94.6%.
That's Union President John Holden.
They voted to strike by 96%.
And then after midnight near Seattle, Washington, they walked off the job along with other Boeing employees in Oregon, which will shut down some airplane production. The 33,000 machinists rejecting a 25% pay raise offer, demanding 40% instead.
The last time Boeing saw a strike was back in 2008. That strike lasted 57 days. Now, no timetable as to how long this strike could last, but it is estimated it will cost Boeing $100 million a day.
That's Dave Detling with Fox TV in Seattle. President Biden will meet with Britain's prime minister today, and as Fox's Jill Nato reports, a big topic will be continuing to help Ukraine battle Russia.
The New York Times reports European officials say the president appears to be ready to clear the way for Ukraine to strike far into Russian territory with Western weapons. Britain's already signaled it wants to let Ukraine use its Storm Shadow missiles, but wanted permission from the president.
Russia's leaders warning against that. Vladimir Putin says if the U.S. and Europe let Ukraine do that, it'll put NATO at risk of war with Russia. Former President Trump says he's done with debates and won't face off again with Vice President Harris, saying at a rally in Tucson, Arizona.
People said that I was angry at the debate. I was angry. And yes, I am angry because he allowed 21 million illegal aliens invading our communities.
Today he'll rally in Nevada. Harris wants a second debate with Trump, calling him unfit for a second term.
Same old tired playbook we've heard for years, with no plan for how he would address the needs of the American people.
She held 2 rallies in North Carolina. Today the vice presidential will campaign in Pennsylvania. America's listening to Fox News. 7:02, 66 degrees in Chicago. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Controversy continues to dog a top aide to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Kennedy Bartley has faced calls to resign due to a backlash she received over grossly anti-police comments on 2 podcasts. Alderman Brendan Riley says Bartley is also at the center of major communication failures by the Johnson administration.
Communication is so important, and really where we've seen a deficit with this administration is regular dialogue. And so I would say there's a need to really ramp that up and improve that operation.
In other news, we're following the village of Dalton moving forward without embattled Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who was a no-show as village trustees met last night. Surprisingly, a longtime Henyard ally Stanley Brown met with those other trustees.
I'm not here jumping ship, or I never was on the ship to jump the ship. Always been here. But I like to do what's right, and that's very important. And every resident in this village deserves that.
Meantime, a school administrator in Dalton is suing her own district.
I did what all my training told me to do. I followed the process. And to have to stand before you today is very much a distraction.
Deputy Superintendent Sonia Whitaker filed a suit claiming Dalton West School District 148 retaliated against her for raising concerns over the misuse of school funds. Her attorney is S. Todd Yeary.
It's about $13 million of federal emergency response money that there were questions about how it was being allocated.
The district says they fully intend to defend themselves against what they call false and malicious allegations. Convicted former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. pushing for a pardon from President Biden. NBC News reporting 9 Chicago area mayors sent a letter to the White House requesting Jackson be pardoned by Biden before he leaves office early next year. Chicago sports, Bears take on the Texans on Sunday Night Football. Week 2 of the NFL season kicked off last night. Bills dominate the Dolphins 31-10. Cubs visit the basement-dwelling Rockies at Coors Field this weekend, while the White Sox start a series with the A's at guaranteed rate. Notre Dame looks to bounce back from their devastating loss to Northern Illinois. They visit Purdue, while the Fighting Illini wrap up non-conference play hosting the Chips of Central Michigan. The news a service of Blue Stars Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarsSecurityLLC.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
We know what a woman is. And at Natural Womanhood, we believe that a woman's fertility is beautiful, powerful, and healthy, not something to be controlled or destroyed by doctors and big pharma. Women deserve better. Women deserve to know and claim the uniqueness of their natural female bodies. Women deserve access to authentic, holistic, and restorative reproductive health solutions. Women deserve to know they have real solutions beyond birth control for treating menstrual cycles issues or for family planning. Options without harmful side effects. Natural Womanhood produces high-quality, informative articles, podcasts, and videos to empower women to know and love their bodies. Find evidence-based information about birth control issues and alternatives, cycle issues like endometriosis, infertility, IVF, and more. Break free from big pharma, get healthier, learn how to work with your doctor to diagnose and treat cycle issues, or learn how to start conversations with resources from Natural Womanhood. Access the latest articles and podcasts, or even get a free consultation at naturalwomanhood.org. Visit naturalwomanhood.org today.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gabe Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
7:09. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Turnkey.pro. For less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Turnkey.pro. Eden's at 26 Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy over an hour, solid from O'Hare into the Circle. Ike in 1 hour, 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th into the Circle. Watch out on the Reagan I-88, your stop and go eastbound between Roosevelt and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, partly sunny and warm, high 84. Currently 67. Your next news is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I guess Brett is trying to get that debate resuscitated. So we don't have Brett at the moment. But anyway, you know what would be a good debate I'd like to see?
What?
Maybe this could do proxies. Melania versus dog. Don't you think? I'd love to see Melania versus dog. Dog Emhoff. You know, she's got.
He's so hot. You know what he is? He's just darn right sexy.
Sexiest man alive. New generation. I mean, in a generation where he's a sexy man alive for people like this who think Ira Glass is sexy. This American Life, NPR. Did you see this? It's just a quick in passing.
Uh-huh.
All the members of NPR's This American Life program staff got their T levels tested.
Got their
testosterone levels tested.
Are we going to do that here?
It's like a low T.
Why don't we do that with you, Mike Scott, Quinn, George? That's really personal information, but okay.
Talk about living down to caricature. All the men, quotation marks, of This American Life had very low testosterone, some low enough that the doctors recommend medication. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. People get older and so on and so forth, but these aren't necessarily older people.
Well, why is it our business about their T levels? But okay, go on.
They made it our business.
I know, but all right, now I need to know. What do we got? What kind of numbers are we working with here, Dan?
So, like they were really low. We tested the let's see.
I want to check my T levels.
We tested the fixity of political preferences of 136 healthy males.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, this is just that Democrat men have lower testosterone levels than Republican men, but that's sort of it. Ira Glass, 270. It was 144. When Ira Glass's T level was announced, some chick on This American Life said, "Oh my God."
Interjections. Whoa! Oh no! Oh my God!
I guess this was in part prep work because they were talking to a trans guest about how taking testosterone made this person more interested in science. I don't know. It's more just the sort of the NPR toting men of the world, including those in the employ of NPR, are not the most manly men you're going to run across on a daily basis. That was it. I don't even know how we got off on that topic. You said something and it triggered my memory of this little vignette. Anyway. Oh, Melania and dog.
Oh, Melania. Yeah, you brought it up.
Yeah, Melania and dog.
It would be very interesting.
I bet Melania's T level is higher than dogs.
Yeah.
And she's a beautiful woman. I'm just saying.
She's gorgeous.
That's how low.
She speaks, 5 different languages?
Yeah.
She can run circles around.
Have you picked up her book
dog.
Yet?
No, I have not. We should have offered her on the show. I don't know if she's doing interviews, but...
Sure, she's out there. She's out on social media promoting it.
The attempt to end my husband's life was a horrible, distressing experience. Now, the silence around it feels heavy. I can't help but wonder, why didn't law enforcement officials arrest the shooter before the speech? There is definitely more to this story, and we need to uncover the truth.
Wow. It's a borderline threat to democracy, Melania Trump. Ralph and Rantoul, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. I didn't know you were going to play that clip of her. I love listening to her talk, and I do, and it reminds me, I know it should not, but it reminds me of Green Acres with Oliver. You know, if only Donald's name were... Anyway, hey, put this on a T-shirt, Dan and Amy. Amy, I think you might wear this. Be a Democrat, where the women don't have balls and neither do the men.
Hi-oh. Hey, Ralph, did you like, I mean, you're a marketing guru of sorts. You gave us the Gimme Dat Enterprises. Well, not us, but Brandon Johnson. My T-shirt idea from earlier in the week that if, what was it?
What?
If Kamala can frack her way to the top, so can Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah. Or how about this? You know, Kamala wants to bring you to your knees. She knows all about it.
I don't even think you need that she knows all about it. And I think that's too on the nose. Thanks, Ralph. Cindy, Bristol, Wisconsin.
Yes, good morning, guys. I listened to an interview with a pediatrician, and this gentleman admitted that he was not an endocrinologist, but found that over his decades of treating young boys in his practice, that they became progressively more effeminate. And his research took him back to World War II, and men's testosterone levels entering into the war at that time were 2,000. By the mid-'80s, it had dropped to 1,000, and today the norm is between 250 and 400.
Yeah, and Ira Glass is checking in at 144. Thanks for the call, Cindy.
Uncomfortable T-level territory, huh?
Yeah.
She's sane.
I mean, in a generation or two, we're all going to be gay women, basically. that's the trend line.
I just am so amazed
I'm just
at
glad
how
I'll
many
be gone
people
by then.
are wearing dresses in my neighborhood. Men just dress, and then they have
I'm
these
not
these
surprised.
cat bags where I don't know if you've seen them. They carry their putty tat on their chest. It sticks outward, and there's a little
like one
a
of
hole.
those front papooses.
Yeah,
that
normally
you're
would
supposed to
carry
put
a baby in.
Yeah, but instead they have a cat.
Yeah, and then
Sure.
there's a little bubble that protrudes out that's all glass or plastic, and the cat just sticks his head out there. It's really, you know what? Next time I see it,
You live in a very eclectic neighborhood.
no, I do. I
Yeah.
do.
Oh no,
I mean,
it's wonderful.
Oh, and my neighbors love me. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's wonderful. If
Getting
you-
along real well. Things are going really well.
Yeah. Okay.
What could go wrong?
Are you done with this retrospective on Lakeview and
yeah,
and Melania and all that? I did want to mention this at least because Kim Fox is not going to be with us forever. No.
Don't go. No, don't do it.
This is really it's not remarkable. It's customary, but just so you know what's happening at the local level, where most of you live, like Chicagoland. The propaganda they use to sell the Pritzker Purge Law, they're using now to justify it, which again is not surprising. Of course they are, and they're just making things up. And if you are not celebratory, then you get the what?
You get the HEFO.
Well, no, if you're not celebratory about the Pritzker Purge Law, about its passage, about its impact,
then you're racist.
Exactly. Bingo.
And if you like Trump, you're racist.
I just feel compelled in my time left in office to say
boy.
truths that need to be spoken.
Oh, boy, here we go.
It was racist. It was racist. Kim Fox said of opponents' attacks on the Pritzker Purge Law, the so-called Safety Act, and her advocacy for it. It was racist. So again, I think people in Illinois should know that 100 of the 102 county state's attorneys in Illinois are racists.
Yep.
That's a problem. We have systemic racism in Illinois. 100 of the 102 DAs are racist. And that's not me saying it. That is Kim Fox saying it. And she's beyond reproach. And if you don't think so, then
you're racist.
Exactly. See how that works? It's really simple. That approach has such utility.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some other flunky Daily Line or something. Crime has decreased. Jail populations have mostly decreased. Judges are explaining their detention decisions rather than just issuing a bond, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's Candide. Illinois is Candide. It's the best of all possible worlds. I know. But I mean, there is this aspect of it, and don't blame me. I'm just reporting. I'm not taking a position because I don't want to draw the ire of Kim Foxx. CWB Chicago actually tried to examine the impact of the Pritzker Purge Law, the so-called Safety Act, a year in. Nearly 20% of people arrested and charged with felonies in Chicago are already on pretrial release for another pending criminal case. Talk about preventable crime. 20% arrested and charged with felonies are on pretrial release for another case. And by the way, that number is substantially higher than during a comparable period last summer. So crime is down, prison populations are reduced. So prison populations are reduced. There's no question about that. But it's one of those Fox Butterfield moments. Experts are confounded by reduced prison populations and increasing crime. Gosh, I wonder if you could connect those dots. Anyway, that's one finding from the deep dive CWB Chicago did into Cook County Court records. But there's a problem, too. Of course, the inability to get the sort of complete information you need to make more accurate conclusions. And that's also purposeful. CWB Chicago reporting, public officials often talk about the percentage of people on felony pretrial release who get charged with a new felony, which is about 13%. That is not an inconsequential number. 13% of a relatively big number is a massive frickin' problem. But they make the point, no publicly available data reveals the percentage of new felony cases that are generated by people who already have cases pending. In other words, it's easy to find out how many people on pretrial release are charged with new felonies. It's impossible to find out what percentage of new felonies are allegedly committed by people on pretrial release. So you can't really get to the numbers. You can look at some aspects like CWB Chicago did and say, we got a big problem with people on pretrial release committing crimes. But you can't get to the answer to the question, the complete answer to the question of the impact of the Pritzker Purge Law, because the data is unavailable. And so then they just come out and say it's a grand success. And that's the end of the conversation. And then you'll have their, lobotomized armies run around and repeat that. Members of the General Assembly in their re-election campaigns right now. You thought you were going to get me on voting for the Safety Act, but no, it's been a glorious success. Right here, I have it right here. And if you don't agree with me being a glorious success, then Kim Foxx says you're racist, and that's just the end of it.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
A healthy fawn may be seen frolicking in its pen. Who would have not survived? Or a rehabilitated horse might be running in the pasture that had once been malnourished and not used to human kindness. Their success is from the dedicated volunteers at Paws Critter Crossing, an amazing not-for-profit organization that saves critters in crisis. Paws Critter Crossing, located right here in Chicagoland, is a rehabilitation center for injured and orphaned wildlife and a sanctuary for farm animals that have been abused or abandoned. Please help PCC raise desperately needed funds so they can continue their mission in giving these animals a second chance in life by registering for their fundraiser event on September 28th. Go to pawscrittercrossing.org and click on events. You can buy tickets for their dinner, which includes an open bar and entertainment. Experience the bidding excitement on their online auction, or just hit the donate option. Tickets are on sale now through September 20th. Tickets will not be sold at the door. pawscrittercrossing.org. Click on events. No donation is too small.
Dan Proft here for Willows Academy. You've heard me talk about Willows Academy for years. Willows is an authentically Catholic, all-girls school in Des Plaines that supports traditional values. For nearly 50 years, Willows has partnered with families in the Chicagoland area to educate young women who will change the world. On September 20th, they're hosting prominent author of Awake But Not Woke, Noelle Meering. They've invited our listeners to an exclusive presentation at the school on how your family can react and respond effectively to the woke ideology permeating our society. This inspiring yet practical presentation will describe how we, as parents, can respond and protect our families and provide vital guidance and much-needed leadership to often misguided friends and family members. To RSVP, just visit willowsacademy.org/woke. That's willowsacademy.org/woke. Don't miss author Noelle Meering as she discusses her book, Awake But Not Woke, at Willows Academy Displays on Friday, September 20th at 6 p.m. willowsacademy.org/woke.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT Smart Connected Scanning technology. IoT Smart Connected Scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Are you confused by all the wild campaign promises and crazy political talk? You're not alone. Scott Tucker and the Scott Tucker Solutions team keep an eye on proposals made by politicians in Washington and in Springfield. Proposals that could impact your retirement plan. As laws change and programs are updated, it's important to have a retirement plan that can help protect your future. Your money needs to last past election cycles and weather any presidential or gubernatorial administration. Scott and his team can help you figure out the potential political impacts on your retirement plan. Get Scott Tucker's election stress test right now. Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions will help you create a plan to navigate changes in our economy and in our federal and state governments, no matter who's in the Oval Office or in Springfield. To get your election year stress test, call 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Recent events have reminded us how fragile the stock market and your life savings can be. What would happen to you if you lost 30, 40, 50% or more in the market? It could likely destroy your quality of life and impact your plans for the future. Let this be a wake-up call to sit down and review your financial situation. Take control of your future today and call Wealth Management Group 833-WMG-PLAN or visit investwithwmg.com. All investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
IT support, how can we help?
Hey there, we have a huge problem. Our network crashed and our entire assembly line is down. We're losing thousands of dollars an hour. Can you help?
Please hold.
What are they saying?
They put me on hold.
We gotta get this line back running now.
IT support, who are you holding for, please?
Oh, hi. I need help. My network is down. I've been on hold for over...
Sorry, wrong call. Please hold again.
Sound familiar? Don't let a network problem cost your business thousands of dollars. Turnkey is the champion of small businesses. For the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with the most secure, up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. All by world-class technicians who really care about helping people. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro today.
You're invited to join Chicago's Aid for Women, celebrating 46 years of empowering women to choose life. Join them Thursday evening, September 26th, at the Union League Club in downtown Chicago for their annual benefit dinner. The keynote speaker will be Trey Gowdy. The Praesidium Vitae Award will be presented to Mary Hallen Fiorito. Aid for Women provides many important services to women facing unplanned pregnancy who may be considering abortion. At Aid for Women, they believe that the solution to a crisis pregnancy is to remove the crisis, not the child. Aid for Women provides housing, parenting classes, mentoring, and genuine friendship to pregnant women in need, allowing them to choose life and setting them on the path to financial security and independence. To learn more about this event and to support this great organization, go to helpaidforwomen.org. That's helpaidforwomen.org. You can help save lives and souls from abortion today.
560. The Answer.
So just following up on the low T story there, since this is, center cut. So doctors like to see men in a range between 300 and 1,000.
Okay.
Depending on your age and so forth. The highest level of the NPR group was 270. Second place was Ira Glass at 144.
Ooh.
And then it gets, positively female from there. There were several lower than that.
What's your numbers? Because you've been tested before.
Yeah,
Are you off the
not
charts?
recently. Not recently.
Are you 1 point? Your bald spot? Wait.
No, I don't.
Excuse
me. I don't have a bald spot. That's Sean from Menlo Park. He's got the Friar Tuck going.
Yeah, but
I
you have a mullet going.
I have the, yeah.
We could get like Hair Club for Men in here for you and for Sean.
Yeah, I mean,
Why don't you guys pitch that as a new possible advertiser of the show?
Yeah,
and then you could look like Brian Urlacher and then have
I was thinking like billboards.
Billboards all over the place.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Or maybe
about that.
take the party in the back and implant that hair in front.
Do a transplant.
But I think that's what they did.
Do like curtains here? Should I do bangs?
You could put curtain bangs on. You can attach them here and, maybe I'll get you that for early Christmas present.
Hair Club for Men is in the building.
Oh, that's right.
No, I didn't know that.
They're up on 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Are they?
You know what? Let's go
they
take a
are.
little elevator ride at the 8 o'clock hour and just pop in and say hello. And
Nah.
What do you mean, nah?
I don't.
But someone like Mike Scott, if they did,
Someone like Mike Scott.
Like, let's talk about Mike Scott.
I love
hair implants where you don't have.
No, I don't want anything like that. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't.
But Brian Urlacher looked like you, and now he has hair.
He shaved his head, though. Intentionally, starting back his senior year in college.
I actually think Urlacher looked better with the shaved head than he does on those
I think
billboards.
not. But his hair has grown on me. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's that problem with that back that you have right now. Urlacher's hair is growing on you.
Yeah, exactly. Hi-oh.
That was a really bad joke. Sorry, I apologize.
That's a
That was
dad
really
joke,
bad.
Mike. It's okay.
I
You're
know.
4.
I'm with Mike in saying I don't care, but I'll take it next level. It's obvious. I don't care about my physical appearance anymore.
But no, that's not true because you're taking Pilates.
No,
so
no,
you're
no,
doing
no.
things
But
for your
that's
health.
because I care about my golf game.
Okay.
So I'm for the rest of my life I'm just going to dress like an assistant golf pro, and not worry about my physical appearance or grooming.
As evidenced by your shirt today.
Thank you.
Honestly, where are you going with this hairdo of yours?
It's okay. It's all right.
No, it's not.
My son Ian has really long hair, and I was really upset about it for a long time. But now it's just like it's not grown on me, but it's cool. It's okay.
It is 100%. This is median for the Panhandle.
Did you know?
So,
that's okay.
Yeah,
median for the Panhandle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would be very welcomed in the Redneck Riviera.
Do you know you have curly hair?
Yeah, it's got a little curl to a little flare. That's my vibe.
Did you get a perm?
No, I don't. I haven't seen a hair care professional in about 8 months.
Wow.
Obviously.
I just got my hair cut. Not one of you gentlemen here.
Looks great.
No.
Did you get your hair cut? Did you lose weight? What's something's different?
I like the frosted tips.
Yeah.
Wow, frosted tips.
Yeah,
Name of my junior high band.
It's a real throwback. You need to go back to Schomburg hair from back when you were pointing at snow on an overpass and saying it's
when I
snowing.
had the claw.
Yeah.
The higher the hair, the closer to God.
All right, 7:37. Darvio Moro joins us, CEO of the FCB Radio Network. We'll talk a little POTUS politics with Darvio Moro at 7:37.
But now let's go into the newsroom and say hello once again to Mike Scott.
7:34 on AM 560. The Answer. We're following developments in Afghanistan this morning, where at least 14 Shiite Muslims were gunned down by the local chapter of ISIS-K. The media wing of the Islamic State saying the regional chapter of ISIS-K, a rival of the Taliban, who has a history of targeting Shiites, who they consider heretics, has been confirmed to be the killer of at least 14 Shiites. Machinists at Boeing voted to go on strike, rejecting a company proposal last night to raise pay by 25%. International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, District 751 President John Holden in Seattle last night.
They voted to strike by 96%.
The IAM demanding a 40% pay hike over 3 years. Former President Trump says polls declaring him the winner of Tuesday's debate against Vice President Harris mean he will not debate Harris again. Harris says she believes the candidates owe it to the voters to have another debate.
Because this election and what is at stake could not be more important.
We're watching developments in New York City this morning where the police commissioner, Edward Caban, resigned overnight, 1 week after it emerged that his phone was seized as part of a federal investigation that touched several members of Mayor Eric Adams' inner circle. Caban, who had been in charge of the nation's largest police department for about 15 months, said he had created a distraction for that department. Controversy continues to dog a top aide to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Kennedy Bartley has faced calls to resign due to a backlash she received over grossly anti-police comments on 2 podcasts. City of Chicago prepping for this weekend's Mexican Independence Day celebrations, hoping to provide space for plenty of revelry while avoiding the hours of gridlock caused by cars cramming into downtown. Chicago police issuing a friendly warning.
Mexican Independence Day is a celebration of our culture, so please be respectful and celebrate responsibly.
While OEMC and Chicago police are hoping the El Grito event will ease downtown congestion, they say they have a plan to restrict access to downtown if need be. Bears prepping for the Texans in Sunday Night Football. Cubs look to keep their playoff hopes alive when they visit the basement-dwelling Rockies at Coors Field. White Sox take on the A's at Guaranteed Rate. College football tomorrow, the Illini and the Chips of Central Michigan and Northwestern will hope to avoid the upset bug when they host Eastern Illinois. The news service of Blue Stars Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online. Schedule a free security consultation. Blue Star Security, LLC.com. 7:37. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The biggest faith movie franchise returns to theaters. Pinnacle Peak Productions' God's Not Dead. In God We Trust.
Religion has no place in the public square.
People are looking for more spiritual and moral leadership.
A small-town pastor is called upon to save the religious soul of America.
Send the message to Washington. You have the power to change things.
Keep your boy in line. It's like his God, I can give it, and I can take it away.
Don't miss God's Not Dead. In God We Trust. Now playing.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine.
Not fun.
Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all of that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
7:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. This update is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands. AM 560 listeners, you get the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you. 56david.com, 855-563-2843. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 112-4061. Kennedy at an hour 15, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Avoid it between Montrose and Pulaski if you can. Inbound I, it's an hour 15 from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson is doing all right. You're only 35 in from the tri-state to LSD. Dan Ryan in, 30 minutes, 95th into the circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Partly sunny and warm in your forecast. High 84, 68 officially at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 8, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Here was some fun post-debate analysis. This from Joy Reid. Joy. Perfect. The Kamala vibe. Joy Reid on MSNBC. And her frequent and always shrill guest, this lawyer of sorts, who he's
the white hair dude.
He's the fat Don King, effete Don King.
Okay.
Elie Mystal. They did a nice job reprising the deplorables riff, reminding the country that the left doesn't just find Donald Trump deplorable. They find all of Donald Trump's supporters equally deplorable, or I guess the new word is the despicables.
Also to do things, Ellie, that one would think are career-ending. The way he desecrated Arlington National Cemetery would be career-ending for a normal politician. His constant lies. But even this piece about saying, well, my building was the tallest until, they brought down the World Trade Center. Now it's the second tallest. I mean, everything he does is despicable.
The reason why it doesn't end his career is because his supporters are just as despicable. All right. Like Trump's whole thing, he's a narcissist, right? And so his whole thing is to have a complete lack of compassion and empathy for everybody else. It's all about him. That's why he lies about 9/11. It's all about him, me. He's probably the least compassionate president we've had in 200 years since Andrew Jackson. And it works for him because his supporters are just as ungenerous and have just as little compassion and empathy for others. So when he is seen out there, essentially, as you guys have put it, desecrating our national symbols, when he is seen out there putting himself above all else, his supporters also want that to be the case. They want to do that in their own lives. That's how they think of themselves. And that's why it never hurts Trump when he takes these crass and classless actions. It's because his supporters think that being crass and classless is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, and they also, he hates the people they hate. So when he makes up this idea that these Muslims in New Jersey were cheering, and there are Americans in New Jersey cheering supposedly for the towers to come down, he's like, well, yeah, because my supporters don't like them.
Mm-hmm. So half the country that supports Trump are racist, classless,
ungenerous,
xenophobic, ungenerous, lacking compassion and empathy and so forth. I mean, I just thought I'd remind people listening who voted for Trump, even if you just did it once. Maybe you didn't vote for him in 2016, you did in 20, or vice versa. Maybe you didn't vote for him either time and you're voting for him now. Well, if you're in any of those categories, then you're a threat to democracy and you're also a terrible human being. And that's not me saying it. That's somebody with a law degree who commentates for MSNBC and a Harvard grad, Joy Reid, Harvard grad. So, so factor that in. If you can pass the Joy Reid, Elie Mystal mirror test, well, that's on you. You know what it really feels like to me, this race right now?
What?
It really feels like to me that we're back in 2016, and the left just does not understand how thick their bubble is. And there are some people on that side trying to tell them, and they're not listening. And I don't mean Quislings. I don't mean like the left's version of Adam Kinzinger or Liz Cheney. I mean like thoughtful people who actually are steeped in history and political context and analysis, like Rui Teixeira, I mentioned before, who writes at liberalpatriot.com, talking about the working class problem that Kamala has across the board. Just to repeat, Harris is trailing Trump among working class non-college voters by 17 points. That's identical to the deficit Biden had against Trump in the last New York Times poll before he dropped out. Way worse than Biden did among those same voters in 2020, where Biden just lost by 4 points. She's down 17. Also, she's doing 10 points worse than Biden did in 2020, again, among white working class voters. 18%, well, she's doing 13% worse. 18% worse than Biden did in 2020 among non-white working class voters. And as everyone knows, there are a lot more working class, non-college degreed than the college degreed that travel in the circles of Joy Reid and Elie Mystal. Joy Reid and Elie Mystal are not going to be enough for Kamala. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Darvio Moro, CEO of the FCB Radio Network, co-host of the Outlaws Radio Show as well. Darvio, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
How do you react to Joy and Elie reviewing not just Trump, but Trump supporters?
Well, the first thing that I thought about as I was listening to that when he said that he was the president that lacked the most person that had the least empathy since Andrew Jackson. I'm like, Woodrow Wilson would like to have a word, the guy and screamed Ku Klux Klan propaganda in the White House. He may want to have a say about that.
Yeah. But the tagging of Trump supporters, I don't know why they think that's going to aid the effort any more than it did in 2016. And frankly, Joe Biden got away with it to a lesser extent in 2020, but that was a very unusual race with things like 70 million ballots being preemptively mailed. So it just doesn't strike me as the case you want to prosecute.
It's stupid. It's stupid because ultimately, regardless of what happens in this election, if Democrats want to win moving forward, they're going to have to figure out how to at least peel some of those voters back. And just writing off all of them is political suicide. We are, I'm 37. I remember when working class voters were part of the Democratic Party's base. Right. It wasn't that long ago. So you can't just write off whole swaths of the country and think that that's going to be effective for you politically, not to mention the fact that, as you said, and I read that same article yesterday, she's not only having a problem with working class white, she's having a problem with working class non-white.
Right.
So you might want to figure this thing out. You might want to say, hey, you know what? Let's look at why these voters, who used to be the backbone of our party, why are they going in this direction instead of with us? Maybe they should start thinking like that. Attacking the voters is always stupid.
Well, and you wrote a piece in Newsweek about, speaking of empathy, about the illegal immigration problem and how it is impacting big cities, and particularly minority neighborhoods. We've certainly heard a lot of outcry from Black and, to a lesser extent, Latino residents in majority minority neighborhoods in Chicago about this since the importation began. Now, of course, you have it occurring in small town America, places like Springfield, Ohio. And I know it's just given the back of the hand where anybody who says anything, raises any sort of concern or criticism is just doing so because they're racist, sort of like the Joy Reid riff there. You're just racist. But, it's just that's not very persuasive. And I don't think people are buying that, oh, it's just all latent racism that explains why people, like, for example, in Springfield, Ohio, have a problem with 20,000 migrants being dropped into their community of 60,000 people.
So I actually I think last week, one of my followers on X knew that I live in Ohio, and they reached out to me and said, hey, do you know anything about what's going on in Springfield? And so from that moment, even before the debate, I started digging in and started researching a little bit more. And, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think it's unfortunate when people just try to dismiss the entire thing, because when you really look at it, you're looking at a town of Springfield, which is 60,000 people. In 1983, Newsweek named them as one of America's dream cities. And, of course, as a result of NAFTA and some of these other things that have hurt other Midwestern cities, it hurt Springfield particularly. Now they have about a median income of around $27,000 a year.
Wow. And
they have a 22% poverty rate. So this is a town of people that's already struggling. And then you bring in 20,000 people in a city of 60,000. And then the federal government gave them no help, no help whatsoever, no assistance in helping to integrate and assimilate these people. And so when you start looking at it, it's like, of course there's going to be clashes. And here's the other thing. Springfield is about 20% black. So it's not like they've never seen black people in Springfield before.
Right.
That's not the issue.
Well, you're hearing from black residents in Springfield too. We've heard
Correct.
from them. You've seen some videos of comments during the city council meetings that have gone viral.
Correct. Absolutely. And so that's not the issue. And Springfield has been a place where immigrants have been coming since around, they've seen an increase of immigration since like 2014.
Right.
It hasn't been an issue until recently because it's been manageable. They've been able to bring in the folks and integrate them into the population and so on and so forth. It just had, like with the Biden administration, when they swung the door wide open and flooded Springfield with all of these people, it overwhelmed the system. And that was what I learned when I started digging and started speaking to people in Springfield and really seeing what the situation is.
But didn't the people in Springfield, the elected leaders, bring this upon themselves because they started the initiative Welcome Springfield back in 2014? So who was coming back then?
Correct. But see, the issue is, and again, it goes back to what's been going on at the federal government. It was manageable back then.
Right.
It was manageable in 2014 and 2015 and 2016. It wasn't until, the immigration policies of the Biden administration that, now, the status is probably hurting us.
Well,
because now you have this flood of people in that they have to assist, and they don't have the resources to do it.
I mean, it's right. It's just. This is where it's just like the lack of pragmatism. So if you went to Springfield, you're from some immigration agency at the federal level, some part of that agency of resettlement. You say, look, we're asking every community to step up here. We have these truly political refugees from Haiti that are facing political and religious persecution. They've been given temporary protected status. They're here legally under that program. And so we need Springfield to take in a few dozen. And we're going to provide these resources and so on and so forth. There wouldn't be pushback. There wouldn't be much pushback. If you did that, sensibly around the country, that's one thing. When you just, as you said, throw open the doors and say everybody can just come whenever they want on their own terms, regardless of what their intentions are, and everybody's supposed to figure it out on the fly, or we're flying people to these particular destinations that we've arbitrarily designated, well, that's when you run into problems. And it's so incompetent, it almost comes across as purposeful, like there's a purposeful effort to be divisive.
Yeah, it's absolutely incompetent. And, one of the things I mentioned in my Newsweek piece is this situation isn't fair for anyone, right? Like, you're putting the Haitians in a difficult position because you're creating the environment for them to be in unnecessary clashes with the residents. And the residents themselves are just trying to survive. Of course, there's going to be some resentment when you have people in a city that has 22% poverty rate, and the median income is $27,000 a year, and then you bring in 20,000 new people and you give them more assistance than the American citizens qualify for. Of course, you're going to have resentment.
Right. Before we let you go, I wanted to get your handle. The polling has moved around a little bit about this, but there's been much discussion of Trump increasing his percentage of the black vote in polling, particularly among black men, but the net is substantially more than the 8% he got in 2020, back when you weren't black if you voted for Trump. And so I wonder if you think that is real and there's real stickiness to that. That it may not be 30% or something like that, but he is going to do a multiple in 2024 of what he did in 2020 among black Americans.
Well, I'll say two things. One, the polls have been showing that for over a year now. At some point, we got to say, okay, well, maybe there's something to it. Now, as far as in the community goes, yeah, I can totally see that. I could totally believe that. When you talk to people, if you put 10 black people in a room, maybe 2 of them are going to be Trump. Well, that's 20% right there,
yeah,
right? So, he's been polling in the high teens, low 20s among black voters all year. So I do think that it's real. But here's the other question that I would want to preface this by saying, and I want all the listeners to hear, to make sure if you're a Trump supporter and you want it to happen, then make sure you stay on the campaign. Because the other issue is, okay, the polls are saying that these voters are interested in him. Now it's incumbent upon the campaign to go get those voters.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to just come to you. You got to go get them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You got to run through the finish line. Absolutely. Darvio Moro is a CEO of the FCB Radio Network. He's also the co-host of the Outlaws Radio Show. Darvio, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine.
Not fun.
Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all of that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only 2 good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we talked to George Mason University econ professor Daniel Klein on hate speech. 8:08.
Today we're going to have warm conditions, partly sunny skies, a high of 84 degrees. Go out and enjoy. It is now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Instead of building jets, they're holding signs. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 33,000 Boeing workers started that strike just after midnight, most of them near Seattle, Washington.
The whole contract's unfair. They're taking too much away from us without giving us anything.
They want pensions brought back and 40% pay raises. Boeing's offering 25%. Fox Business Network's Lauren Simonetti reports it's the
first strike at Boeing since 2008 during the financial crisis that cost them $100 million a day. And it could throw a wrench in their already fragile supply chain. The strike will likely lead to a massive production delay at a time when they're trying to increase plane production. This strike affects the workers that make the 737 MAX.
Those are Boeing's most popular, and it's trying to fill thousands of orders. Former President Trump pushing a new proposal unveiled in Arizona to help hourly workers.
People who work overtime are among the hardest working citizens in our country. And for too long, no one in Washington has been looking out for them.
So he'll again today tout in Nevada a plan to eliminate taxes on that overtime income. Fox's Rich Edson reports.
The Harris campaign calls the pitch desperate and claims Trump's scrambling and says whatever it takes to try to trick people into voting for him. They also point to the Trump administration pushing a regulation to make fewer Americans eligible for overtime pay than the Obama administration had proposed. The vice president was also pitching voters on the economy at her rally in North Carolina.
His plan would reignite inflation and send us into a recession by the middle of next year.
The vice president will hold held two rallies in North Carolina. Today she'll campaign in Pennsylvania. She wants another debate with the former president. He says that's not going to happen. Britain's prime minister will go to the White House today, and as he and President Biden consider allowing Ukraine to use long-range American and British missiles to attack deeper inside Russia, prompting a warning from Russian leader Vladimir Putin. If they do that, NATO's at war with Russia.
68 degrees, partly sunny skies at 8:02. Controversy dogging a top aide to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Kennedy Bartley has faced calls to resign due to backlash she received over grossly anti-police comments on two podcasts. Now, Alderman Brendan Riley says Bartley is at the center of communications failures by the Johnson administration.
Communication is so important, and really where we've seen a deficit with this administration is regular dialogue. And so I would say there's a need to really ramp that up and improve that operation.
City of Chicago prepping for this weekend's Mexican Independence Day celebrations. Chicago police issuing a friendly warning.
Mexican Independence Day is a celebration of our culture, so please be respectful and celebrate responsibly.
Organizers of the El Grito Fest in Grant Park are hoping that festival will give people a chance to get out of their cars and enjoy a more traditional celebration on foot.
Having a organized and fun and festive place for people to go downtown is going to take a lot of those cars off the street.
OAMC and Chicago police are hoping the event will ease congestion, but they say they do have a plan to restrict access to downtown if needed. A man is facing multiple felonies after deputies acting on a search warrant found large quantities of MDMA and other drugs at his Buffalo Grove home. Lake County Sheriff's Office and Homeland Security collaborated on a Wednesday raid, arresting 33-year-old Zan Bajuk after authorities seized more than 300 grams of MDMA along with cocaine, ecstasy, and several pounds of marijuana. Bears take on the Texans in Sunday Night Football. Cubs look to keep the Rockies in the basement, taking on the Colorado Club at Coors Field tonight. White Sox take on the A's at Guaranteed Rate. The news service of the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Properties, Christie's International Real Estate. Experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago, $800 million in sales. You'll get the most value for your home, 708-828-0000. It's 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The strike by roughly 30,000 International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers at Boeing presents new challenges for the aircraft maker. Reuters says Boeing needs to decide how to respond at the bargaining table after saying it offered everything it could. And it also needs to secure factories full of expensive, partially built planes. A prolonged strike would also weigh on airlines that depend on Boeing jets and would impact parts suppliers. Analysts at TD Cowen say a 50-day strike could cost Boeing up to $3.5 billion. Shares of RH, the former Restoration Hardware, are rallying up more than 20% after it surprised Wall Street with a very strong quarter. RH says demand picked up for its high-end home furnishings over the summer. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Silva, invested in you.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers, this one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call,
847-623-1625.
And get the info at WaukeganRoofing.com. WaukeganRoofing.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy, it's an hour and 23 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and slow on the inbound, Dan Ryan. You're jammed up in the locals, Garfield to the Circle, in the Express from the Garfield up through the Stevenson, 30 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State jammed up southbound due to an earlier accident that's just been cleared out of your way. Again, southbound 294 between North Avenue and the Cermak toll. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This, is another below the fold issue. It's odd to say that about a constitutional right. But this is an important part of thinking about your decision on November 5th. Free speech, sort of intrinsic to a free society is the ability to think and speak freely. And we understand what the Harris-Walz ticket's view is on it. They've made it very clear. First Field Marshal Tim.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Yeah, but who determines what hate speech is?
There's no protection. There's no First Amendment protection around misinformation. Yeah, there is. It's called the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Kamala had the same position. Remember, she was, of course, seizing the zeitgeist of her party at the time because she is a cipher for the new Bolsheviks, the same way company man Joe Biden was, leading the charge to get Trump bounced off Twitter and hold these social media companies accountable, meaning make sure that they agree with our censorship decisions and do our bidding for us.
He has lost his privileges, and it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter. The same rule has to apply, which is that there has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation, and that has to stop.
You would think that a couple of journalists from a corporate media outfit would want to talk about First Amendment protections because it necessarily implicates the press, but there's the big reveal. When the D.C. press corps is folded into the state, they're not so much concerned about anybody else's First Amendment rights, are they? Yeah. So the oversight and the regulation, well, do tell. That may have been an interesting discussion on Tuesday night. Do tell. You said oversight and regulation. So what does that look like? You've obviously given it a lot of thought. You're very concerned about it. Our very democracy hangs in the balance. That's what both you and your running mate have said. So provide some details.
Another missed moment. Probably the only debate they're going to have.
Well, maybe J.D. Vance will take it up on October 1st because it is both of them who have taken that position, both Harris and Walz. For more on the topic, Daniel Klein joins us, professor of economics at George Mason University and author of Misinformation. There's that word again. Misinformation is a word we use to shut you up. Professor Klein, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you. I think your opening was great and right on the money.
Well, yeah, and you would think that this would be a little bit more of concern given all that we know about from the Twitter files reporting and of various other instances of the skullduggerous censorship state that was in full operation in 2020, was in full operation through the COVID pandemic, remains in full operation, it seems, particularly after Amy Coney Barrett punted on Murthy.
Yes, they are intent on censorship, a whole of society approach. And to disguise the nature of the censorship, which is just shutting up people who disagree with them or oppose them politically, they disguise it with certain stratagems. They use words, they misuse words like misinformation and also like hate. And what they do with hate. And what they're doing is they're setting up their own bureaucrats, their own sort of gallery of judges who are going to say, yes, 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 that's hate, or yes, 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 that's mis or disinformation, to then say, see, this guy's actually guilty of something serious.
Right.
And it's just a big philosophical confusion. And in the misinformation piece you mentioned, I try to dissect how to think about that. And I also have been writing about hate speech laws and hate crime laws to kind of unpack what's going on here and how they're basically manipulating us and propagandizing us in order to put across their censorship. Censorship and propaganda go hand in hand naturally, because without censorship, the big lies of propaganda get ripped to shreds. So they need the censorship to sustain the propaganda.
Well, and here's something, too, that, I mean, it's just generally concerning because this is a movement that is afoot, this censorship movement that is afoot in the West, generally speaking. In point of fact, just this week, the Australian government introduced new hate crime legislation that would impose criminal penalties, including jail, for offenders if they target a person's race, gender, ethnic origin, religion, or sexual orientation. And as Amy sort of intimated in the opening, you know, when you talk about targeting, what is the definition of targeting a person's, particular identity characteristics? What constitutes hate such that you run afoul of the law and you are subject to criminal penalties? And this is where it gets really gooey, and it feels like it necessarily will have to be arbitrarily and capriciously enforced.
I agree. It's completely against the modern world. It's completely against the great civilization we've built in the last 400 or 500 years, say, especially since the printing press and the wars of religion. What we learned, broadly speaking, in the West is that we're going to come to different opinions, exactly as James Madison said in the Federalist Papers. People, as long as they are imperfect, and we are all very imperfect, and as long as they are free to express their opinions, are going to come to very different opinions, meaning very different sentiments about what is love-worthy and what is hate-worthy. And the only way to make this work in a peaceful way is like to have freedom and freedom of speech. And that's what, James Madison and the founding of the Constitution and the First Amendment is all about. And these people basically want to undo the modern liberal, if you will, liberal in the original old sense of the term, liberal world. They are anti-liberal. And it's just horrible. I mean, basically, they want to return us to a kind of age of orthodoxy where to speak heterodoxy or unorthodoxy is a kind of treason, a kind of crime against the state. It's just insane. I mean, they're like totalitarian in their nature, honestly.
Well, and you heard this from the Attorney General, no less, yesterday. And another word that's worthy of dissection and because of its ubiquity when it comes to the newspeak used to cover their intentions, Merrick Garland, to criticize public officials, prosecutors at the Department of Justice, is to engage in something that is dangerous. That is dangerous, right? And then there's this conflation that goes on, and where he just runs a list of threats of violence, bullying, and it gets, watered down and watered down. But he leads with threats of violence, and then he throws in a bunch of other things in that same category because it's all dangerous.
Weaponization is a key part of all this, and the principle that the process is the punishment. They know that what they're saying is nonsense and really can't make law or make any sensible kind of law in the courts and in procedure. But the process is the punishment. They can use this. They have, again, their gallery of stooges in the courts and in the bureaucracies to kind of support them and come down and persecute people. And that's effective, even if you don't ultimately go to jail for speaking against some public official or expressing some opinion that they don't like, even if they don't ultimately land you in jail, they can hurt you, really. And so the process is the punishment.
Yeah. The Gallery of Stooges, ironically, was the name of my garage band. It was an Iggy and the Stooges tribute band.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, do we have time for one more question?
Please.
So when you, if, and I say if with a bated breath, Harris and Tim Walz get into the Oval Office, what do you see happening on social media?
They're going to push for censorship. They're going to, I think it'll be very, very bad. I mean, it'll be crazy, and I don't know what will happen, but I think they're reading them 100% correctly.
Maybe, I don't know, some sort of concocted antitrust action against Elon Musk, for example?
Yeah. I mean, they would love to do what Brazil did and bounce. They would love to just shut up all the dissent and persecute people who disagree with them. They're literally pre-modern in their mentality.
Yeah.
But they don't want people not to love them or to praise them.
Well, but you're right. They only accept compliments, right? We don't have a complaint department because we only accept compliments. But I'll tell you, the nice thing, if you shut up all the dissent, then we have unity. We have real unity then. This is what they sell,
Yeah, of course.
right?
Of course.
The unanimity of the graveyard as why am I blanking? The justice.
Yeah, all of these fantasies of recreating the small band, which of course is what we came from evolutionarily, they're all demented, and they just don't face the reality of the modern world. And that's kind of what leftism is all about.
Justice Robert Jackson, by the way, unanimity of the graveyard. I had a little mental blip there. Anyway,
I'm glad you're back, Dan.
Thank you. Daniel Klein, professor of economics, George Mason University, author of Misinformation is a Word We Use to Shut You Up. Professor Klein, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you noticed all the ads for gold and silver? By now you know if precious metals are right for you. Quite frankly, most major dealers have roughly the same pricing models. Fox Valley Coins offers everything the other large national dealers offer, only with a local, personal touch. Fox Valley Coins will treat you like family. And if you want to stay anonymous, under most circumstances, they don't even need to know your name. Ha! Try that through the mail. When you buy directly from Fox Valley Coins instead of national dealers, you can pick out the actual pieces and they will scientifically analyze the items for authenticity right in front of you. That's a huge advantage. The reason is because 95% of fakes offered are purchased through the mail. Fox Valley Coins buys, sells, and performs appraisals of all precious metals, as well as rare coins and currency. Visit Fox Valley Coins in person, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Naperville-Warrenville border. Fox Valley Coins, family integrity for over 43 years.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no coverage at all. These days, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of the biggest expenses can be your car, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan. You could save thousands with one call to CarShield. Call 800-840-1546 now to see if you qualify. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Repairs for your engine, transmission, and more can become a thing of the past. Plus, call 800-840-1546 right now and get free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options. Call 800-840-1546 today and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Just call 800-840-1546 to see if your car qualifies. 800-840-1546. That's 800-840-1546. Again, 800-840-1546. Coverage varies by plans. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
AM 560, The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call in now! Open mic Friday!
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. It is that time of the week, Open Mic Friday. We take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line with comments, compliments, criticisms, concerns, general correct pottery. We'll take it all after we begin, as we do, with David Kolsak, founder of turnkey.pro. David?
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Happy Friday the 13th, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Don't remind
That
me.
doesn't
I'm
mean
superstitious.
anything.
So.
Yeah. You shouldn't. Yeah. Silly movie. Anyway, to begin with, I've talked a lot about the phrase gaslighting, and this week's debate was a textbook definition of what that means. Literally everything that came out of Kamala's mouth was a complete lie and counter to what's reality. What's fascinating to me is on top of all of her lies, the mediators piled on, and whenever Trump spoke truth, they would fact check him and make him out to be the liar. So it's like a double gaslighting scenario where it's amazing that we're living in this day and age, but that topic has been beaten to death this week, so I'll leave the gaslit debate right here. What I really want to talk about this week is immigration, like you did a little bit earlier. In the end, I'm completely sure that our open border policy of today is killing the America that we once knew and loved. When I was a kid, I remember my family talking about sponsors of immigrants. Either family members or employers would have to vouch for an immigrating family. The program at that time wanted to ensure that people who came to this country would have the means to support themselves and be productive members of society. I remember thinking at that time that it was a really big deal to financially vouch for an entire family or distant relatives that hardly spoke any English and nobody really knew. But I have to say, it seemed to make sense, and it still does today. This vouching policy incentivized the host family to make sure their arrival was comfortable, and it also made sure that the immigrating family had a sense of urgency to assimilate to our country, to provide for themselves and learn our way of life. What's interesting that is in 1996, the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act, that's a lot of words, formalized the sponsorship requirement by introducing the Affidavit of Support. This legally binding document required sponsors, typically family members or employers, as they've said, to financially support the immigrant, ensuring that they would not become a public charge. The law required that the sponsor demonstrate the ability to support the immigrant at 125% of the federal poverty level. Not a real high bar, but a bar nonetheless. And I wasn't aware that today these sponsors were still necessary. So if you're in line to get into this country legally, this policy is something you must follow. And if I were in that line awaiting illegal immigration, I'd be absolutely furious to see what's going on at our border. So what's happening today at the border is radically different than what's supposed to happen. Instead of having sponsors for each of one of these families, we have nothing. We don't know who these people are. And what's more is these people are being rewarded for coming. They get food and shelter. They get basic income that oftentimes is more than Social Security recipients get after paying into that system their entire lives. It's completely backwards and not at all constructive to preserving and forwarding our American values. They're adding to the welfare state, and it's sickening. We want and need immigrants in this country, but we have to be selective. I remember my absolute first employee in 1990, or I guess it was 2003. It was a Polish guy named Wisla, we called him Wes, who literally won the immigration lottery in Poland, giving him a path to citizenship for him and his family. He moved here, he learned the language, he got a job, he worked hard, and he became a citizen. There's nothing wrong with being selective and bringing people in, like Wes, but the chaos at the border is diluting, if not completely negating, the decades of healthy immigration that may have come before. If you just look at average IQ of populations around the world, you'll get a sense of what's going on. The average IQ of an American is right about 100. Overall, a person with an IQ of 100 functions effectively in most aspects of life, from school to work to social situations, representing the average range of cognitive ability. They're neither significantly advantaged or disadvantaged in comparison to their peers. But generally, people with an IQ of 100 are able to be productive members of society if they want to be. Now, let's say an immigrant comes here and has an IQ of 65. People with an IQ of 65 face cognitive challenges in learning, reasoning, adaptive functioning. Typically, a person with an IQ of 65 struggles with problem-solving, language skills, social skills, and emotional intelligence. Simply put, someone who comes here with a low intelligence quotient will struggle to assimilate, learn our language, and follow our rules and social mores. So when you look at what's going on in Springfield, Ohio, it's almost predictable. You've got a small city, 60,000 people, inundated with 20,000 Haitians over essentially a very, very short period of time. And incidentally, Haitians' average IQ is 65. They are getting preferential treatment for housing options, thereby driving up rental markets. You've got all kinds of problems driving on roads where people are being injured and killed by reckless, unskilled Haitian drivers. They're also taking public services, killing people, and making it unsafe for the citizens there. Very few of them speak English, and they have their own enclave where they don't have to assimilate. On top of that, they're doing what they're used to doing back home, hunting. I'm sure you've seen all over X the reports of the cats and ducks and geese being taken for dinner. As much as it disgusts me, they're doing what their instincts tell them to do, and we don't want them here. So my point in all of this is to say is immigration, if it's done right with sponsors and willing to assimilate immigrants, it will produce effective enclaves of people. You see this all over the world. The Germans in Milwaukee, the Polish in Chicago, the Irish in New York. People like to be with their own kind, and that's okay. Remember that box of 128 crayons that you wish you had when you were a kid, but you only had the 64 box? Remember? If you look at all those colors in the box, there are some really good options. You've got Razzmatazz, Purple Mountain Majesty, Atomic Tangerine, and Blutiful. Each individually is a dynamic, and it can add to the greater picture being made. But if you look at the box of crayons and you took them and you put them in a pot on your stove and you melted them, you get this really ugly sludge that's really not appealing. So when you think about the millions and millions of immigrants who have flooded our nation, you can't help but think that they're making our country more like sludge than a beautiful selection of people who work in harmony within their respective ethnic communities for the common good. So I'm all for the mass deportation of these invaders, but I'm not sure how you're going to get that many people logistically rounded up and shipped out. But in large part, it's going to need to happen. So the fact of the matter is people are coming here legally makes all the sense in the world. There's a long process to get through, but that vetting process is necessary to ensure that we don't succumb to the chaos and madness that's descending on this country. Otherwise, it'll be like cats and dogs living together. It'll be anarchy. And at least in Springfield, Ohio, for now, it is.
Yeah, but I just to make sure I understand, the idea of promoting de facto segregation by ethnicity is not something you're suggesting.
Well, I'm not saying. I think people are normally drawn to that, though. I mean, if you look at people, they like to be in ethnic situations. Somebody that works with me said the other day they were thinking about moving from Chicago to Schaumburg because that's where most of the Polish people go when they move out of the city. So I don't think there's anything wrong with you gravitating towards your kind.
Yeah, but that's not. That's fine. It's just like the fact, for example, that Chicago is the most de facto segregated big city in the country has not been to the benefit of Chicago, and certainly not. Yeah, right. So that's the point, man. When I lived at Lake Point Tower, I wasn't looking for people that were Irish and Danish. Who cares?
You sure that's what you are?
Yeah, right. Well, that's true. But so I just there's some of that, particularly, and that gets diluted over generations, and that's the good thing. That's sort of the melting pot vision of America, which I think is a positive one, right?
Yeah, I think so. But if it's done right, this whole thing, this experiment that's going on in Springfield, Ohio, is exactly what's wrong.
No,
we went over that pretty well today.
Yeah, no question about that. All right, thanks very much, David. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too.
Have a good day. Thank you,
it's not just it's a little closer to home too for us in Chicago. This is an interesting story. Whitewater, Wisconsin. The migrants began to trickle into Whitewater, a town of 15,000, hour west of Milwaukee, towards the end of 2021. Yeah, it's squarely in the Biden years. Prior to the arrival, this is Washington Free Beacon reporting. Okay. Prior to the arrival, local news and political debates generally revolved around school fundraisers at University of Wisconsin Whitewater's D3 athletics. Today, residents are focused on their 1,000 new neighbors who mostly hail from Nicaragua and Venezuela and largely keep to the shadows because they lack official identification. Locals say the real number of migrants in the town could be easily double that. And that's the double the number reflected in the police department's official statistics. Remember, a town of 15,000 people, so it's 1,000, it's 2,000. It's significant impact. The Greater Whitewater Committee president, Jeffrey Knight, is quick to point out that migrants have caused New York's population to grow by 2%, while Whitewater's population has grown by almost 10% in 2 years, almost entirely due to migrants. That would the equivalent, to put it in some proportion, that would be 1.5 million new arrivals in New York. He said, I don't have a problem with immigration. The concern is about resources. Same conversation we were having with Darvia Morrow about Springfield, Ohio, or any place else. Michael Smith, who's lived in Whitewater more than a decade. I haven't seen anyone who isn't welcoming, but you have to have blinders on to not see that there have been problems. Everything is relatively overwhelmed right now. Right. These policies are not sensible. Therefore, they are not defensible. And the other thing I would hasten to add, since the left loves to throw around terms like compassion and empathy, qualities they are not, is unreason begets unkindness. Unreasonable policies begets unkindness. It is the opposite of who they say they are, and of course, the opposite of who they say those who disagree with them are. And it's happening in Whitewater, Wisconsin, too. So Springfield, Ohio, Whitewater, Wisconsin, Charleroi, Pennsylvania, Aurora, Colorado. I say again, if the fact that those small communities are at the center of our debate about illegal immigration in this country, if that doesn't tell you what the border security record of Biden and Harris is, then nothing will. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
Good morning, Amy and Dan. I want to comment on your talking about subsidiarity earlier, as far as the people closest to the problem should be the ones that solve it. I completely agree, and I think you've been, over the years, attacking the upper echelons of the Republican Party, but now you got to build that ground up, or build the bottom up, and I hope there's some effort to do that. And I wanted to say, as far as the difference between 2016 and 2020 now is there are a lot more avenues and outlets for people to get information. The fact that ABC was called out and there are more people to look at it through podcasts, radio shows like yourself in identifying this, they can't get away with that propaganda anymore. So I think it's going to be different this time. And one last thing, I hope that the conservatives have some kind of contest for misinformation, because I think Amy would win because she delivers the answer every morning.
There you go. Thanks for the call, Kevin. Mark Penn, former pollster for Hillary Clinton, he was on with our friend John Solomon in Just the News talking about the debate a little bit too, and I just wanted to focus on a couple of things he said about the moderators. He's somebody, that still sort of holds to, faintly now, holds to this idea of process. Is the process fair? And I don't know. He has a very naive belief that there was any chance the process would be fair, but he was disappointed.
I walked away like everyone else in the country. Oh, yeah, she really seemed to win. She came across strong. He seemed to be on the defensive the whole time. And it wasn't until the next morning, and I kind of went through all the tapes, and I realized, well, wait a moment. When the refs put their finger on the scale, it's not exactly a fair contest. And then if it's not exactly a fair contest, it means you're being played with in terms of what the results really are. Normally, look, if the refs are putting their fingers on the scale, you can't count the outcome of the game, because the score is not a real score.
Right, but here's the thing: you can't be cynical enough when it comes to the DC press corps, when it comes to these institutions that are dominated by this new Bolshevik managerial class. You cannot be cynical enough. I don't know why anybody is suggesting anything other than a rigged deal when they're in charge. But Mark Penn wants to get to the bottom of this.
I actually think they should do a full internal investigation, hire an outside law firm. I don't know how much of this was planned in advance. They didn't happen to, they called the city manager of this town. I don't know what they planned in advance. I don't know what they told the Harris campaign. I think that the day after suspicion here is really quite high, and I think that I think a review of all their internal texts and emails it really should be done by an independent party to find out to what extent they were planning on in effect, fact checking just one candidate and in effect rigging the outcome of this debate.
It's all well and good. Hire an outside law firm to do an independent investigation into ABC News. Come on. Talk about I appreciate the good intentions that Mark Penn has, but what do you think that is going to uncover?
Maybe what he was just, the allegations that were just made. That they did hand her the questions, that they did know that this was going to be a topic, that somebody thought, Trump's going to say that they're eating cats, so we have to talk to the city manager to make sure that we debunk everything he says. They even said allegedly that this whistleblower said that he was going to get fact checked, and she was not. So they're making a very comfortable environment for her, and she practiced for 4 days, and that was a result of her work.
Let me try this again. You cannot be cynical enough when it comes to these institutions. So you're telling me that Kamala's friend and ABC News is going to hire a white shoe law firm that's going to come in and do an independent audit, and even if that did all occur, they're going to cobble together a report prior to the election that indicts ABC News and their moderators for being in the tank for Hillary Clinton and provide this smoking gun. And that law firm is going to effectively do the bidding of Trump while being paid by ABC News. You think that's real? I mean, come on. I know there's this search for, like, how do we hold these institutions in check? And there is no way to do it. You have to build your own, or you have to change out the leadership of said institutions. Getting these people to do the right thing is an impossibility. Impossibility. Hire an outside law firm to